Start over, worst show ever.
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, September 24th, 2015 time once again for your Gitmo Nation Media Assassination episode 759er.
This is No Agenda.
Running the airstream of consciousness in full autonomous mode on the I Love Laundry Tour and broadcasting live from the home of the world elites in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, I expected you to be in Colorado. I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Well, you know, we have a website, John. It's very clear when I'm where. Running in full autonomous mode on battery power. It's unbelievable.
Jackson Hole is one of the prettiest towns in the United States.
And actually, the town is named Jackson. The valley is Jackson Hole. That's the difference.
Well, the difference is those mountains.
Yeah. So it's called Jackson. Let me start off.
I'm going to Jackson.
That's
is
right.
that the song? That's Frank Sinatra Jr. or Nancy Sinatra.
Or Johnny Cash.
Nancy Sinatra. Who?
I'm going to Jackson. Yeah, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Yeah, no, Nancy Sinatra. I'm going to Jackson.
So here's what's going on. We drove 8.5 hours yesterday from Boulder.
Who's we?
Tina the Keeper and I.
Oh, she was in the... Okay.
Yes, she joined in Denver. We'll reverse engineer that and let you know how that happened. And we decided, actually, with tour producer Angela Castaneda, who has been amazing, and I don't use that word lightly. She checked all the cell connections, etc., and found that it would be best for us to stop in Jackson. And so we got in late last night. We hooked up. We had a reservation, and then I realized they have this is crazy. RV parks have a checkout time.
Can't you get late checkout?
No, that's the problem. They have a checkout.
In Russia?
They have a checkout time of 11 a.m.
They can't accommodate a checkout?
No, because it's chock full here. They have a soccer team arriving today at 11. So no, we're really sorry. However, if you go over there and park over there by the street, so I had to unhook everything. And I really only need one device. The Apollo Universal Audio device needs 110 volts. And for some reason, we had everything set up. We were ready to go. And then the inverter, which turns 12-volt batteries into 110, it crapped out. I look at, apparently the batteries are down to, let me just turn off this fan. Hold on. The batteries were down to 10.8 volts, which is why the inverter crapped out. So I just hooked up the car to the trailer and have the motor running. So it is the most silent but probably most expensive generator ever used on a podcast. And but otherwise we're on the Verizon MiFi, got the internal network all running, and it should be okay. And I have a hardware backup recording device just in case.
Yeah, well, that was needed.
Yeah, yeah. Apologies for the glitches in 758. What happened was we had some kind of catastrophic crash. No idea how it happens. All software is buggy, and it corrupted the first hour of my recording file. So Martin JJ, who was always great at recording the stream, he sent that to me, which he'd captured. But when the stream rolls out or craps out, then
it captures that too.
Yeah, but it then switches to like some jingles and stuff that is that you can't see it in the waveform. So I try to get everything I could, but I missed one or two, and people are a bit confused. So that should not happen.
I saw
again.
those tweets.
Yeah, and
what is this?
It's a glitch. But I knew things were already going wrong last night when we checked in here, and they said, "Oh, here you are. You're in slip number
33."
That's right. Yeah. Anyway, we're rolling. Should be okay. And last night,
we'll see. I bet you it craps out at the 1 hour mark.
I'm going to knock on wood, just like the president, and say no, it's not going to. But anyway,
the president's made out of wood.
Yes, exactly. He did that knock on wood thing.
No, I missed that.
Yeah, it was on the previous show.
He went and sang "Knock on Wood." He likes to sing,
No, it was Obama was knocking. Don't you remember?
Oh, the thing. Oh, yeah, your little...
Yeah, little tap 4 times. Exactly. So do you want to do a tour update first? Do you want to do a couple, just jump into some stuff that's going on?
I think we should do the tour first, get people into it.
Yeah,
and then they said they will shock them with the real news.
Okay. So last time we spoke, I was in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
That was a good drive all the way to Jackson. That's a haul.
Yeah, except I stopped in Colorado Springs first, where we had our meetup. No, I'm sorry, Santa Fe. We had a meetup after the show.
Okay, was that well attended?
It was kind of an impromptu. Like, we'll have dinner. It was Jeffrey Tuhig who put us up in Albuquerque 3 years ago, and he was there with his lovely girlfriend Rebecca, and we had No Agenda Ham. Let me see, Randy gave me his QSL card. Hold on, right, Randy Diddle, and he gave me a QSL card and a $50 card for gas, which of course is highly appreciated. Matthew Dupuis was there, who drove from far away. Dude named Ben, very cool. And let's see, it was just like kind of like having beer and just chatting. It wasn't a huge meetup.
Good.
And then the next day I left for Colorado Springs. Now this was a great meetup. We had a ton of familiar faces. Andrew Lemesseny, Sir Andrew Lemesseny was there. Of course, the whole thing was hosted by Isaac Chase, and I also picked up a few good donations. We want to do those now? We want to do those later? We can do the donation segment. End of the donation segment, we'll do those?
Yeah, do it at the end of the
Okay. And then the next day, I picked up Tina the Keeper at the airport. She flew into Denver. This was interesting. But figure, Denver Airport is what? It's like 5 miles wide, this thing. It's one of the largest airports in the world.
This is the world's worst airport.
Yeah, it has the crazy horse of death out front, and it has all those the Illuminati murals.
Then they had the thing that galls me is that they have, you can go in and pick somebody up going around and around without paying for parking, but you have to pay for parking. So, in other words, there's a big parking stall.
Well, it worked
5 miles away from the airport.
No, I went 3 miles away to the cell phone waiting lot, which is free.
Yeah, there's a waiting lot.
Right. And then, and Tina arrived, said, okay, come and pick me up at East Terminal 44, door 441 or whatever. And I was dragging the Airstream. I'm like, okay, I'll just pick you up. And I drive to the terminal. And it is like 3-4 miles away. And as I'm going towards the terminal, I say, hey, wait a minute. There's one of those bars over the terminal that says you have to be lower than this. And it was like 9 feet, 4 inches. And I'm going underneath, and I have a little rubber duck antenna on top for the radio. That hit it. I'm like, oh, crap. And then immediately a cop's coming up running me. He said, stay on the left, man. Stay on the left, because there's all the signs for the airlines on the right. You're gonna rip your whole Airstream open. So I'm like going over the speed bumps as slowly as possible, just hearing the antenna scrape on the roof. Why do they make terminals so low?
They don't want people bringing bombs in.
Oh, that makes sense. So, anyway, picked up Tina, went to Boulder. Actually, we stayed in Estes Park, which is just beautiful. About 45 minutes outside of Boulder.
Well, wait, let me finish my story. So they put this check. You had to pay to get into the parking, right?
No, I did not.
You didn't go through any, because you used to have a gate way out.
No gate.
5 miles out.
No.
And they said you just get the tag, and if you get and pick up your person and come back, if you're within 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you just put it in. You don't have to pay anything.
No, didn't have any.
You didn't have to go through that.
No.
So people have bitched about this because you can't make it. That's the point. You could never make it. You could never pick up the tag and then rush to the airport, which is 5 miles away,
right,
and then go pick somebody up and then get out of there in time not to pay $5.
Well, they've heard your complaints, I guess, because there was no charge.
Oh,
yeah.
And you never picked up a ticket or anything?
No. I almost ripped the Airstream to shreds, but otherwise fine.
Huh. Okay. Well, now it's one more anecdote I can't use.
But we all know the guy who built the blue horse of death, died when the horse fell on him. It's just a fun story, and you see that crazy ass horse.
They also have a bunch of crazy
murals.
New World Order
the murals,
paintings, and an underground network of stuff. There's something screwy about that.
Yeah, the design looks like a swastika from above. Yeah, we go ahead and search for it. You'll be amazed what's going on at Denver International.
Just search Denver Airport weird.
Yeah. Then we drove to Boulder, Estes Park, which again was just beautiful, and we had a great meetup hosted by Sir Mark Milliman, and that was pretty big. We had 15, 20 people, a whole bunch of people stopping by, and great, and such a typical no agenda mix. We have dudes named Ben, and by the way, pretty much everyone at this meetup, including myself, is on the spectrum. We're all autistic or Asperger's or whatever. We're a fine bunch. Yeah, and we've got 26-year-olds, we've got 61-year-olds, and of course, no women. This is a typical no agenda meetup.
That's too bad.
Although Colorado
There's
Springs,
a lot of good-looking girls in
Colorado Springs, we had two.
Okay,
and and of course, besides,
women don't like to go to these meetups. They know that they're going to be,
Well, the two women who were at our meetups were listeners, then producers, so at the Colorado Springs, but Boulder, no.
Yeah.
Well, Tina was there, of course. That helped. And everybody's also very happy in Colorado to hand me some extra donation goods. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're in Colorado.
Yeah.
It's legal.
Ever hear of Chiba Chews?
Oh, they have? No.
Chiba Chews. Yeah, it's coffee, taffy, edible marijuana.
Huh.
Which I will try tonight. I figured not a good idea to try it on a school night.
After the show.
Yeah. Right. No, after we drive into the park, into Yellowstone.
Well, it's not legal in Yellowstone.
No, but shh. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, Wyoming apparently is there. If you have Colorado plates, which I don't, and you drive into Wyoming, you have a good chance of being pulled over.
Oh yeah.
But they say Texas plates. That's going to be fine. Shouldn't be an issue.
Texas shoot people, and good boys from Texas.
Good old boys. And driving through Wyoming, which was not really comfortable because it is just at a certain point on Route 80, there's this huge plain. It's from horizon to horizon, nothing but flat dust.
Yeah, it's very entertaining.
No. And a lot of wind, a lot of crosswind.
Yeah, the wind is explained to me. One time I was in North Dakota and it was just windy. It's like 60-mile-an-hour winds constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy says, yeah. I said, why is it so windy here? I said, this way all the time? Oh, yeah. No, it's just windy all the time. It's terrible.
Right.
And I said, what's the deal? She says, well, once the wind starts up, there's nothing to stop it. It just goes.
Right. Yeah. It really is. And I was thinking of something as I heard this clip because I was listening to CNN and MSNBC and Fox, and we were jotting things down as we're driving, so I'd go back later and pull clips off of the web. Here's Watermelon Head Kerry.
I'm pleased to announce today that the United States will significantly increase our numbers for refugee resettlement in the course of this next year and the year after. Last year, I think we were at 70,000. We are now going to go up to 85,000 with at least, and I underscore the at least, it is not a ceiling, it's a floor of 10,000 over the next year from Syria specifically, even as we also receive more refugees from other areas. And in the next fiscal year, we'll target 100,000.
So I'm driving through Wyoming. I'm thinking we can take 1 million refugees and put them in Wyoming.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing but space. Here's
North Dakota would be better.
Here's some sandwiches, being the plastic wrap sandwiches, and
Wyoming, by the way, is one of the most beautiful states you'll ever drive through, except for that flat area.
Once we got into the mountains, oh my goodness, stunning, just absolutely stunning, John.
Yeah, if it wasn't for the winters, I think more people would live there.
Yeah, well, in fact, we parked right next to a beautiful 27-foot Airstream International Cruiser.
I thought yours was 27.
No, we're 23.
23.
I can't pull 27. And, so
I can't pull 27, but I can pull 23.
I can pull 23, no problem. So we're sitting, we're setting up, and this cute lady gets out of her Airstream, says, howdy. Is that an Airstream? How do you like it? Fuck her.
Did she say that?
No.
She didn't say that.
No, she didn't. She said, oh, it's beautiful. Mine's from 2012. We were doing Airstream talk. And,
oh, brother.
And she lives here. She says she lives here all summer long.
In the trailer?
In the trailer, by herself.
She's that's interesting.
Yeah, and then in the winter,
Run a little business there. Run a little business out the trail.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a flagpole on it. I don't know if the flag is up. I don't know.
What's the flag say?
No, it's a flag. It's a warning signal. It's like open for business. That's what you're alluding to, I presume.
Yeah,
running a little
bit. You got me.
No, but actually, she had some good tips about how to hang up stuff in the Airstream. And nice lady. So where should we eat? Here's your recommendation if you come to Wyoming: Bin 22. If you're in Jackson, man, you should look it up on the web, John. What a great restaurant! You're pretty much in a wine cellar. So you just walk by the racks.
Bin 22. That's the name's after a wine cellar. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
there's a port name, Bin 22. Maybe.
Exactly. And then you pick out your wine, and there's all communal tables. Then nice little small plates.
What town is this? Is in Jackson?
In Jackson. Yeah,
but Jackson's kind of a ritzy area.
Well, not kind of. It's a super ritzy area. Then I was talking to our server, our waitress, and hold on a second. Someone wants to say something to me here. Hold on. Is he going to knock on the door? There's some guy who keeps walking past me the whole time.
Are you Andrew Curry?
I hope not. I don't know. I can't. Go away. I'm not home. I'm not really. It's a recording in here. There's cool hit people here. Hold on.
That was me, by the way, knocking, but apparently fooled him.
John, were you fucking knocking? John. Were you knocking?
Yeah.
You're an asshole. I'm like looking to see if someone's knocking on the door. Don't do that. Hold on a second.
That would work.
Don't do that. Man. Yeah, I know what's going to happen. This guy has this huge RV behind me. He's going to want me to pull up, but no, I can't be doing this. Go away.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. Cool. Anyway, let me just finish.
Okay. So I do have a refugee clip that would kind of fit in with what you were doing.
Yeah. All right. Do the refugee clip.
No, I want you to finish now.
I was just going to say, but we were talking to our server, Josie, and what she's doing here and, what it's like. She says, this is, the tax haven. Of course, Wyoming is an energy state. They run in the black. They have no income tax. So that's why Jackson Hole, why all the Federal Reserve and all the big financial meetings take place here. They all have homes here. The place is just filled with multi-million-dollar homes with staff. And these people they live here technically, but they kind of, come in from time to time. They got a super airport nearby. So it truly is the center of elitism, and I can't wait to get out.
Yeah, they have art galleries. It's really pretty fancy town.
It's super pretty,
and they would have the best restaurant. Of course,
it's super pretty, very very nice. It's beside the fact that I had to unhook from power and sit here with my car running and people knocking on the door or about to. It's fine otherwise. What you got for a refugee? I got a ton of refugee stuff. All right, well,
you're bringing up the refugee thing. We're going to take these guys and that guys. I thought this was kind of interesting. This is from one of the BBC or one of the other overseas services. And this is the refugee report where they talk about, the stench of the refugees, which I still want to, these people must just smell like crap.
Yeah.
Where's the toilet paper? Do they all bring in toilet paper with them? I don't think so.
No.
So they're asking. First they ask them where they're from, and people tell them where they're from, and then they say where you're going, and then they cite the bad news at the end. But just listen to where they're from.
This Greek island. Take a stroll now through the main port in Lesbos, where on the worst days, parts of this upmarket holiday destination become a stinking, sprawling refugee camp. There are people here from all over.
I'm from Iraq. Syria.
I'm from Syria.
Afghanistan.
Syria.
Almost all tell us they're leaving war and violence behind. Some say they just want a better life. Where do they want to go?
We are going to Germany on our way.
Germany. But today's deal done in Brussels will see them distributed across this continent.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me follow that up with this short...
Wait, this is what I wanted to say.
Mm-hmm.
Afghanistan, 2 guys. What is Afghanistan doing in this mix? When did this happen? Oh. They didn't go through down to Turkey.
I know. Well, the whole thing is a mess. It's a quagmire.
It's a quagmire.
The 28 EU member bloc has failed to find a unified response to the crisis, and Council President Donald Tusk says a solution needs to be found closer to home. Hungary, however, has taken a hardliner response. Their latest move has been to build a steel gate at the border crossing with Croatia. But that, Croatian officials say, won't stop the migrants, and they've already set up a camp to hold 4,000 refugees. Just one example of discord between the handling of the crisis between neighbors.
So Hungary has been, and we were discussing offline an article that you sent me. I have some standing in this, having grown up in and lived in the Netherlands, lived in Belgium, lived in UK, where there are all kinds of integration issues with Muslims and where there are Islamist extremists.
Good, because then if you're going to go in that direction, I have a pre-clip.
Okay.
I want you to listen to this because I know what you're going to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
But excuse me, I want you to listen to this. This is a guy, you can look him up, William Swing. Okay. William Swing looks like a professional ambassador. He was ambassador to the Congo, to this, to that. He's a whole bunch of things. And he's a white-haired, old, kind of fuddy-duddy, a Yaley.
Who was a-hole.
Elitist, and he's an internationalist.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Internationalists, of course, are the people that they're the original New World Order.
Do you think Atlanticist would be more fair, or is it really internationalist?
The internationalist is the old term. Atlanticist is probably, they would be internationalists.
Right, gotcha.
So Atlanticist, I believe, is a subset.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got this clip, which I pulled from, I believe, NewsHour, this is, you need to listen to this clip because this clip tells you how these a-holes who want to run the world think about all this. And it's very patronizing. It's like, you're going to have to get used to this and all the rest of it. But play this Ambassador Swing. He's now the member of the International Organization for Migration or something.
The best conditions possible during that.
Ambassador Swing, what about the notion that many of these countries have is, listen, we have security concerns, economic concerns, political concerns before letting thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in?
There's no question that a lot of the policies today are being driven by an unprecedented anti-migrant sentiment afoot in the world, not just in Europe, but in other countries. It's driven by the fears of the 2008-2009 economic downturn, when perhaps one's going to lose one's job. It's driven by the the post-9/11 security syndrome, where people are afraid, obviously, of terrorists coming in. It's also driven by a sense of the loss of personal or national identity. And I think on all of these, there are ways to address this. These are stereotypes that don't really meet the reality that historically migration has always been overwhelmingly positive. And we need to get back to a positive narrative in the public rather than the toxic narrative that we have now. And to do this, we're going to have to help everyone to learn to manage inexorably growing cultural, ethnic, religious diversity within our countries.
Yes, exactly. So when I arrived on the Dutch shores coming back from the United States in 2000, I was blown away by this the integration conversation. And there was a guy, Professor Pim Fortuyn, who was running to be prime minister with his Leefbaar Nederland party. And he had written books about the past 15 years of what he calls the Purple Coalition, which, of course, socialist, leftist Christian, I guess. Yeah, I think that's what it was. And he was saying, look, we're not an immigration country. Europe is in general not this type of immigration country. We don't understand the culture of these people. These are not your Muslims coming from the cities. These are the ones from the hills. They're being sent upon us. It's no good. We've got to stop. The whole country was like, yeah, crap, this really sucks. And this is 2000. It really sucks. It's no good. We don't like it. He was going to win the election. He was assassinated by a quote unquote crazy animal activist who, by the way, just served his whole jail sentence like a year ago. He's out. He's free. He's out walking around.
To kill again.
Yeah, or whatever. And then Theo van Gogh, who I work with a lot, the filmmaker and television producer, he was assassinated. Then they shot, a Muslim shot him on the street, a crazy Islamist, I should say. Then stuck a knife in his chest with a note with a couple other people they were going to go after. And just look at what's been happening with Europe. And Hungary, I think, is right to say, no, we're not set up for this. We don't want it. We cannot handle you. And this
there has been I don't have any.
I have one clip. Well, I just have one clip. I
don't have one.
Okay, I have Frans Timmermans, and you'll recall he's the guy who I interviewed, who was the Secretary of State for the Netherlands on the radio show before the station got shut down, burned down. I got fired, everything. And he is now a high representative. He's a big muckety-muck in the EU Parliament, actually European Commission. And here's what he had to say. His English is perfect, by the way. Anyway, so when I was doing the radio show, he took me aside and said, what you guys are doing is really good. This is, you're really exposing some good things. So I consider him to be a friend.
That's the radio station got burnt down?
That's the one.
Yeah.
So I consider
great things. Yes. Good things there.
I consider him to be a quasi friend. Here he is.
What we see now is that because people are not registered upon arrival quickly enough, they sort of share stories. They buy false papers. They say they're all from Syria when they're not, because they know that when they're from Syria, they probably get asylum. So the key issue here is not just patrolling the border better, is making sure that people who arrive in Europe are immediately registered, fingerprinted, so that we can ascertain who they are. I spoke to a Syrian doctor on Kos, on the Greek island of Kos, and he told me that he'd stayed in a Turkish camp for 2 years, but that now he was out of money and he needed to make money for his children. He couldn't make money in Turkey, so he tried to reach Germany. So we need to make sure people have a decent life where they are.
But I'm wondering if you think that Chancellor Angela Merkel's policy did act as a pull factor as well.
I think what Chancellor Merkel did in an extremely difficult crisis situation was show humanity, and that was absolutely necessary because people were coming anyway.
These questions she's asking on the BBC are good, actually.
Already in Europe. So I think what she did is, I think, an example to the rest of the world. Now, having done that in a crisis situation, we now have to make sure that we protect our borders, external borders better. We have to make sure that those countries where people arrive are better placed to make sure that people are registered and people who don't have the right to asylum are returned swiftly.
You may know that the UK's Foreign Secretary, Philip Hammond, has said what is happening here plays directly into the British argument for a renegotiation and a change to the rules on the movement of people. Is he right?
Well, what's happening here has an influence on every single member state. If we're not able to tackle this issue, if we're not able to find sustainable solutions, you will see a surge of the extreme right across the European continent. That's something I would certainly not like to happen. And of course, it's linked with all sorts of debates in all member states, including the United Kingdom.
Yep. And I'm going to say that Germany, we've been trying to figure out how this started and why all of a sudden we have all these Turks in all these refugees, 2 million refugees, I think it's now in Turkey. And they were, here's a map, go ahead, pass on through. And of course, a lot of them are passing through all these other countries. If maybe Germany just really wanted to rip apart the EU, rule everything, and say, hey, ha, we have the high road. We also have all the good Syrians. We have all the good Muslims coming in to work with us. And then when this whole Volkswagen thing came down, I'm thinking, is this some kind of retaliation? Did you consider any of that?
No. I think it's something you can consider, but it's nothing I consider. There was too many odd coincidences that took place for the Volkswagen thing to occur. I think they'd rather. I mean, first of all, it was us. Of course, we're the troublemakers.
Hello.
Let's back up a little bit. We're the troublemakers.
It's what we do, baby. It's what we do.
And so we're the ones, and it was some university researchers who had, and by the way, nobody knows this is going on, but it's been going on. They, through remote pollution, air pollution sensors, in other words, there's these places you actually go driving down your car. I know they're in California. Nobody talks about this, but they do now a little bit. They still haven't really talked about it as much as they should. You'd be driving down the road, and you can be. There's no legislation to do this yet, but this is the future. You're driving down the road. Your car is emitting more pollutants than it should, and there are these in-roads, not in the road, but along the road, sensors that can see your car emissions and then determine that you're out of spec. So these University of Virginia guys, I correlated these cars out of spec. And I think, I don't remember the full story, but they went to the local Air Resources Board or something, reported it and said, this doesn't make any sense. Look at these numbers. Because I think these cars are giving us something like 40x the nitrogen oxide. There's various nitrous gases.
Now, you know about this, that you have standing because you used to be an environmental...
I was an air pollution inspector. There you go.
Yeah.
And you'll get this gas. It's nitric acid is what it amounts to, and it comes out of the tailpipes. And it was apparently coming out to the point where you can damn near see it. And if you do see it, by the way, it is kind of a yellow, orangey, gaseous cloud. Do not breathe it. Anyway,
how about the stuff I'm breathing right before it's coming out of the car?
That's carbon monoxide. That just kills you.
I have a carbon monoxide detector. I should be okay. It should go off before
that's a good thing to have.
Or if you hear me kind of get woozy, I'm like,
I love you, man.
Anyway, so I was,
anyway, let me finish. So they reported them, and then somebody started looking into it, and then they found that their software had been rigged, or somebody admitted it. I don't know how they got from that point to the software was rigged. I personally thought it was one of the most creative uses of software. This was, by the way, was done. PC Magazine, we had issues with this with a couple of people who manufactured graphics cards. They had rigged the cards so the tests looked really good.
Right.
And this is not unusual for people to do this, and I suspect that everybody's doing it in some way, shape, or form.
Well, this is where I'm going with this, because when you have a software, a loop, a routine that runs when you're plugged into the ODB2 port, I think is what it's called, and then all of a sudden you're going to change the performance of the engine just to get through the emissions. First of all, there's got to be some dudes named Ben who know this because someone did it. And I'm thinking this may be an industry-wide practice that everybody is kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge in on the joke. But let's screw with Germany for a moment. Again, thinking that we're the genesis of all this bull crap with these refugees.
I think it's reasonable to make that, but I don't see that as doing any real harm to Germany. It's just hurting Volkswagen.
It is if you read all of the European news reports, it is deemed as a huge embarrassment to Germany. And they had just touted about how great they were. It took them a while to get into the U.S. market with their TDI diesels. And, now it kind of says, oh, these Germans, they're cheating, lying scumbags. You can't trust them.
Well, I'm not going to say this impossible.
It came out of nowhere. I'm thinking, hey, wait a minute.
It did come out of nowhere, and it became a big news story, and it's still continuing as a news story. By the way, the little gimmick that they used to trigger the software to go to the subroutines, was when the rear wheels are running and the front wheels aren't.
Oh, that's how they knew to do it. Interesting.
That's how the software knew.
Yeah, the software. Yeah, interesting.
Wait a minute.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, the whole thing is dynamite.
And they are recalling 500,000 cars. I mean,
and they have to fit.
There's damage
being
there.
Required to fix them. Now, if I owned one of these cars, I would never bring it in. They're going to
screw. You're going to detune it. Yeah, your car's going to suck. It won't have the performance it had. Exactly. Yeah. And if you read the comments on like the New York Times article, 800 comments. People like, screw those Germans. You can't trust them. They sold me a shit car now. It's not going to have the performance, et cetera, et cetera. So there is something there that is a possibility.
No, I'm not going to argue against it. The idea is good. I just think it would be the execution was outrageous if this is true.
Yeah. But, tying that into the migrant issue, making Germany being, we're the good guys, bring them all in. But this Hungary, man, they're right. You do not want these people. They're not, they will, they're going to bring in their own tribunals. And this really happens. And where I want to go now with this is to the clock.
Before
board.
you do that, I want to tell you about a clip I didn't get.
Okay.
The Hungarians, they're not the only ones. The Czech Republic, the Hungarians, the Slovakians, and one other country has decided they don't want any of these migrants, and they're going to sue the EU if they force any of them on them.
Yep.
And meanwhile, Croatia, which doesn't want any either, but they're not part of this consortium. And the commentary was that they had been overrun by the Ottoman Empire, and they have a long memory in Eastern Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And they still remember the days that the Muslims were dominating the area and making them miserable.
But what's interesting is the politically correct, the multicultural society integration people in politics in Europe are all saying, but that was a long time ago and we're a changed world. And like, no.
It's tell these people to go visit Saudi Arabia.
Well,
let your wife rent a car. See how well you do there.
Hey, Saudi Arabia. Just a little aside note. This is kind of fun.
How about the reaction to them heading the council?
This is Matt. So this is about the new Human Rights Council at the United Nations, which will be headed up by none other than Saudi Arabia.
Again, I don't have any comment. I don't really have a reaction to it. I mean, frankly, it's. We would welcome it. We're close allies.
Do you think that they're an appropriate choice, given, how many pages does Saudi Arabia get in the Human Rights Report annually?
I can't give that off the top of my head, Matt.
I can't either. But let's just say that there's a lot to write about Saudi Arabia and human rights in that report. I'm just wondering if you think that it's appropriate for them to have a leadership position.
We have a strong dialogue, obviously a partnership with Saudi Arabia that spans obviously many issues. We talk about human rights concerns with them. As to this leadership role, we hope that it's an occasion for them to look at human rights around the world, but also within their own borders.
Yeah, they behead people. They behead 10, 20 a month. If they're not going to run,
can't go out by herself,
and they're going to what?
The women can't go out around by themselves.
No driving, all this. Yeah,
no driving, no roaming around.
So they're
covered head to toe.
They're now in charge of the Human Rights Council at the United Nations. This was the backup spokeshole.
They'd make the argument that these are human rights.
Yes, in fact, I do have a clip later on where they do see that as human rights. Here's what's going on at the Turkish border with Greece.
Edirne is a city on Turkey's land border with Greece, but these migrants will not make it. Police stopped them on the highway Monday and put them on buses back to Istanbul. Turkey hosts more than 2 million Syrians and Iraqis, but a lack of jobs and hopes for a better life in Europe are leading them to take the journey. In Edirne, Governor Dursun Ali Sahin says the migrants can no longer stay in the city and that those who register as refugees will be the first to be sent to Europe.
Yeah, so we'll register the shitty ones and send them off to you. That's the way I see this. Now,
this is, by the way, and I think we don't emphasize this enough, an unbelievable catastrophe of the highest order.
Oh, yes.
There should be no Pope coverage.
No, it should all be about this. I agree. Now, let me take this into Clockboy, because we're having our issues here, and I'm glad that when this Clockboy thing, Ahmed in Texas, first came in, we looked at a number of different angles, specifically why CARE jumped in, the Council on American Islamic Relations. They were in very quickly.
Yeah, this thing stinks to high heaven.
I got a package for you right now. Should we do? Why don't we thank some producers and then we'll do the package? This is a classic A to B block tease.
Yeah, let's do the A block tease.
A to B block tease. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage and say in the morning to you, John C. Dvorak.
Well, in the morning to you, Adam Curry. In the morning, all ships at sea, boots on the ground, feet in the air, subs in the water, all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to our everyone in the chat room who are
apparently dicks.
Yeah, but it's when it's tough doing a show and people are backseat driving and quarterbacking, it's like, okay, fine. Sometimes they're handy. NoAgendaStream.com. And we have Jean Provocateurs in now, but they're everywhere. They're on the comment boards. We're being shafted. It's okay.
I'm not being shafted.
The chat
You're
room is.
being shafted. You're the one that reads this crap.
Well, sometimes it's good stuff, It's, we have new trolls and they haven't been there before. It's okay.
The new trolls are probably working for somebody that doesn't like us.
Bernie. They feel the burn. It's all Bernie people.
Feel the burn.
Thank you to
socialists.
Thank you to Nick the Rat for the album art on 758. Let me see. The actual episode was it was a good one. It was titled Blue Waffles. And the album art that Nick the Rat put together for us was a beautiful piece of Jeb Christie 2016, a big crate to Syria with Hillary's face stenciled on it with some guns in it. So that was a nice piece of work. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com is where you can submit your artwork, and we really appreciate it. I had a couple people. There was someone at the Colorado Springs meetup said, I got tuned into the show after seeing all the artwork. How about that? I bet he's not alone.
No, he can't be alone. And that's the reason we use art. We're very
oriented.
Artsy fartsy.
Yeah, we're very art oriented. Yes, very art oriented. Exactly.
It's because it communicates. It's another means of communication.
It sure is. A very valuable one. So do we have some
we have everybody's actually we didn't get any real big money as executive producers, so we have to bump one of them up.
Okay.
So we're going to bump up our associate executive producer, Sir Otaku, from Louisville, Texas. Bang Bang Bang's. No, that's not Bang Bang's friend. It's the Otaku. He's K5VZ. He's in Louisville, Texas at 23456. He will be the executive producer for show 759. And is it 759? Yeah.
759er. Yep.
759er.
Mm-hmm.
And he says... He says, John and Adam, here's the last donation you'll ever get from me if the world ends on 9/23.
I forgot to congratulate you on still living.
Oh, yes, and congratulate you. But I did enough research to find a number of folks claiming that the date has been moved.
Of course,
calculation, and the good news, it's 9/28.
Oh, so we still have 4 days.
Well, it's good news because we get it over with sooner. We don't have to wait another month or two.
Yeah, please kill me already. I'm ready to go. Let's go.
Here's the last donation you'll ever get from me if the world ends. If it doesn't, oh well, I'll keep donating to the best podcast in the universe. The value I get from the show is tremendous.
Nice.
Can I get some mac and cheese karma with a little girl? Yay. Keep up the great work. So Otaku K5VZ 73s to you.
Kilo Fox 5, Sugar Lima November, 73s to you. And what do you say, John?
I say ditto.
Living the mac and cheese life.
Mac and Cheese by Ayn Rand.
Yay! You've got karma.
Nice.
Sir D.H. Slammer's next in line at $206.66. And he's just donating everything to Dame Bang Bang. So maybe give her the credit. Because
she becomes a baroness.
A baronetess.
A baronetess on her way to baroness, yes.
On her way to baroness. Mm-hmm. Therefore, a little title change. This is the text to go along with Dame Bang Bang's 206.66 donation. The Pope canon. Oh, this is that. Actually, we didn't want to talk about this, and I'll just read this because this is interesting. And we're going to do a little aside on this after I'm done reading it.
Good.
The Pope canonized Junipero Serra today, the evil friar who built up many of the these missions out here in California.
Yeah, the ones that killed the Indians?
Killed and enslaved.
Right. Yay. Go church. Go Pope.
This is a huge slap in the face to Native Americans. And a lot of Native Americans came out about this and protested this.
Mm-hmm.
Since Dame Bang Bang's ancestors welcomed Junipero Serra to the area, she has some knowledge you probably won't find presented on CNN.
Well,
I will say this in defense of all these networks, and CNN, I think, is one of them. They did discuss this a little bit.
Yes. But I heard a lot of it on the Channel 127 on Sirius XM on the Progressive Network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they hate the Pope.
Well, some of them they kind of like the Pope on his stand about global warming.
Yeah, they love him for that. But yeah, exactly.
Junipero Serra could easily be considered the architect of genocide in the Native American people here on the West Coast and onto the western areas of the USA. He was a head dude in charge of this area that oversaw genocide on a large scale. Here in Santa Barbara alone, there are over 3,500 documented natives buried at Santa Barbara Mission Graveyard. There are 2 major streets near the mission named after him, Junipero Street and Alameda Padre Sierra, not to mention the numerous surrounding missions which he oversaw, where there were huge undocumented mass graves of Indians, which briefly acknowledged but not counted in the 3,500 tally. Conservative estimates put the loss of Indian life due to Spanish missionaries in Southern California well over 10,000. Needless to say, 10,000 Indians in the small area between 1789 and 1854 is a lot. Because of this treatment, it's extremely common that Native Americans took on Spanish surnames so they could blend in and survive, at least for the descendants that survive today. But the Pope says he was a righteous dude. No real history. There's an absolute and total travesty of human rights. Further proof that this Pope is part of the New World Order and no lives matter. Thank you for your courage. A couple of things that there's another thing that was brought up on one of the shows. He said one of the networks actually pointed out that to be proclaimed a saint, you have to have 2 documented
miracles.
Yeah. He has 1, apparently.
Oh, well, that's lame.
So he doesn't have 2, but I dispute this.
Oh, you think he had a second miracle?
Yes, the second miracle was being named a saint.
Yeah, you get one for that.
In the morning.
Good work. So retroactively, yes, he's a saint. Good. What was his first miracle?
I couldn't find it.
Oh.
I don't know. I'll have to look into it. All right, onward.
Well, anyway, we thank D.H. Slammer for his contribution, which goes to the Baronetessdom of Dame Bang Bang. And they're both, of course, bang banging in the Mile High Club as well. You'll recall he...
yes, they are both bang banging.
Yeah, they are bang banging.
You should give them some
karma. A lot of people in Colorado were confused, and they feel they should be in the Mile High Club by default, since they are literally a mile high.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't know. No. They all said, hey, is the website up yet?
It's coming.
All right.
We'll give them some karma.
Of course. We're happy to do that for Dame Bang Bang. Anytime.
You've got karma.
Zippity-doo-dah.
All right, we got 2 more of these associate executive producers, including Morgan. Just credited as Morgan, male Morgan. Greetings from Gitmo Nation, Hong Kong. Long live Boner, first-time donor. Long-time boner, first-time donor. We'd like to call out Clays, C-L-A-E-S, as a douchebag.
Douchebag.
He would like to have her head is gone, little girl, yay, travel and TSA karma as the girlfriend and I travel to Gitmo Nation proper this weekend. Keep up the great work.
All right.
And her head is gone.
Yay! You've got karma.
Thank you. Lovely.
Alec 10 Harmsel, is it Harmsel? Harmsel in Ann Arbor, Michigan, $200. He'd be our last associate executive producer for show 759. After listening for a few months, he writes, finally punched myself in the mouth. Sorry for taking so long. If I may ask, why do you, John, I think, know Dutch? Wrong. Adam knows Dutch.
Your Dutch is great.
Neither of your last names seems Dutch to me.
No, but I speaketh the Dutch.
He's not Dutch. He speaks Dutch.
I speak Dutch, exactly.
He acts a little Dutch, too. And when it comes to going out, he's always into for the Dutch treat.
Oh, yeah, which in Holland we call going American. Yes, this is true. This is a fact.
No.
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, the Dutch is so irked by this Dutch treat.
They got so irked by this
Yes,
Dutch
they say when everyone's paying for themselves, it's called we're going op zijn Amerikaans. We're going American. Yeah. Is that crazy or what?
That's great. Great. Another one of these unbelievable little tidbits for people who listen to the show.
Here's our chat room. Adam speaks fluid Dutch. Yeah, okay. You see?
Fluid.
You see what I'm trying to tell you about the chat room? Hey, we actually have an associate executive producer from the Meetup. This is Jason Lane from Golden, Colorado. He runs Bear's Handyman Service, $200. Thank you for everything you do and keeping me sane. This is my first donation, over $33.33. He's a monthly subscriber, and we appreciate that. It was about time for me to buck up and return some value for value. I have a handyman service in Golden, Denver, Colorado. Then things are going great because of the karma I've gotten from this outstanding show. Check me out at www.bearshandymanservice.com. Thank you, Alan Peterson, for hitting me in the mouth. Can I get an Obama A-team? And karma for all producers keeping up with the value for value model. So that's nice.
Yeah.
Hold on. I was reading and chewing gum at the same time. Here we go.
If there's a need for a rescue mission, when the world is threatened, the world needs help, it calls on America. And that's the story.
You've got karma.
Lovely. And that is it, I believe.
That's all she wrote.
Well, these are real credits, and just like Hollywood, where we mentioned you at the beginning of the show after the opening, the opening salvo, and you can put them anywhere. Credits are valued and are appreciated and accepted, such as your LinkedIn. That seems to work very well. And unlike the phonies in Hollywood, if you need anyone to vouch for you, we are happy to do so. And please remember us for this coming Sunday show.
Dvorak.org/NA.
And as always, we need you being out there doing the very important work of propagating the formula.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, slave. All right, Clock Boy. Now, this is important because it tacks on to our Islamist extremist story and Muslim story in general.
I have, and as we go into that, I do have a bunch of interesting, because the Muslim topic.
Yes. Well, yes. And
huge on the three networks of my 3x3
Yeah, that's going to come in next. Absolutely. But first we start with Irving, Texas. Irving, Texas is a very big city. It's one of the top 100 cities in America. It's a very racially diverse place of note, and this is one of the first few times you'll ever hear me do this. Glenn Beck has his studio there. He lives there, and I actually pulled some interesting. He had some interesting guests on, including the mayor of Irving, Texas.
Oh,
who is this nice woman, Mayor Van Duyn. Really milfy, actually. And she is well known in the area. First of all, Garland is just a stone's throw away, and there was an actual attack, whether it was false flag or whatever it was. There were two dudes who apparently were trying to go and shoot up the cartoon drawing contest, provoked or not. But earlier, I think this is 2013 or 2014, there was a problem in the community. The Muslim community, and I will say the devout Sharia Muslim community, had set up a tribunal. And what they were doing is, when instead of going to law enforcement and saying, hey, this person did this or this person did that, even if it wasn't all that relevant to U.S. law, but a lot of it is, of course, certainly when it comes to adultery, which is a divorceable offense in Texas. And she voted she undersigned a law that specifically stated for Irving, Texas, there can be no alternative courts. You have to adhere to U.S. law.
This was hugely controversial amongst the progressives.
Yes.
Who didn't know that anything was actually going on there, and they just thought it was a preemptive law. And, these people, they're a bunch of bigots.
So here's a quick little flashback to that vote.
Well, Doug, tempers flared here inside City Hall in Irving as council members voted and approved on this resolution right here in support of a House bill that forbids any use of any foreign law. Now, it was a more symbolic vote, but many Muslims who were inside tonight say they feel like they're being targeted and that it further solidifies Islamophobia.
Please vote.
In 5 seconds, the Irving City Council physically will change nothing.
And that motion passes 5-4.
But mentally, for the dozens of Muslims who packed inside City Hall, they say it crushes them.
I think it is the most disgraceful day as a citizen in Irving.
This is one of the community leaders, Muslim community leaders, who's saying that.
Omar Soliman is talking about is the approved city resolution that supports House Bill 562. The proposed legislation codifies that U.S. and state laws supersede foreign laws.
The elephant in the room is that it's the anti-Sharia bill.
Many Muslims believe it's in reaction to a new Islamic tribunal that was just created in Irving earlier this year. The Muslim judges told us in February it was religious mediation for civil disputes like marriage and not binding.
This bill does not mention at all Muslim, Sharia law, Islam, even religion.
The mayor telling the crowd it's important to recognize the Constitution and unite behind U.S. and Texas laws.
Respect them, obey them, embrace them.
Muslims like Solomon say it's that rhetoric that furthers the stigma they say endangers them.
All we can do is we can take it to the ballot box. I mean, we will vote.
Now, state lawmakers in support of this House bill say it should get a reading later this month at a state judicial meeting, but it still has a long road before it sees any votes or is passed into law.
Okay, so that's just a backgrounder, just so you understand that there is reason for people to be a bit nervous in this area, particularly with Garland and with this whole Sharia law or Sharia court, essentially, they were setting up. Now, Tina the Keeper asked me something a few days ago, and it didn't really register until I was prepping last night. She said, did you see Bill Maher's bit about the clock guy, the clock kid? And I said, no, because I'm not a big fan of Bill Maher. But on the show, and he had some very interesting points. It's crazy. I have to say I'm agreeing with Bill Maher, and even worse, Glenn Beck. And he had Mark Cuban on the show. Mark Cuban, of course, quite a figure in the Dallas area, which is right near Irving. And here's what Cuban said, because he had a little chat with the boy.
Right, he's from Dallas, and I've talked to the people in the school district. The kid is a super smart kid, science geek. We talked about science. But while I'm talking to him on the phone, as I asked him a question, tell me what happened, because I'm curious, right? His sister over his shoulder, you could hear, listening to the question, giving him the answer. So I don't know all the details of what happened, but what I do know, when I talked to him about science, when I talked to him about magnets, when I talked to him about creating things, he was very, very engaged.
So his sister, turns out, is the woman who I thought was just a CARE representative, and she may be a CARE representative. Very little known about her, very little to be able to find out. But she was prompting this kid with everything that he was supposed to say, and she was doing the same at that press conference you recall we played on the previous show. Now over to Glenn Beck. Then he had the mayor of Irving on the show, and with her, some guy who I'm sure is, he's in some kind of think tank, ex-Marine, Jim Hansen. I'm not quite sure who he is, but I picked up this ditty from it.
I don't think there's any question that this latest event was a PR stunt. It was a staged event where someone convinced this kid to bring a device that he didn't build. As you mentioned, it's a Radio Shack clock that he put in a briefcase. And in a briefcase, it looks like a bomb. You know how I know that, Glenn? Because I've built briefcase bombs and blown them up. That's what they look like. So anyone who looked at that was reasonable in assuming that that was a dangerous device. They did that to create the exact scenario that played out. They wanted people to react, and they wanted to portray this kid as an innocent victim. I think he was a pawn of potentially his father. His sister actually claimed that she was suspended. His sister told MSNBC that she was suspended by the same school district for making a bomb threat years ago. Don't know if that's true yet, but she said that in her own words. So there's a vendetta from them, and they're tied, as you mentioned, with CARE, and CARE is Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas tied. They're basically involved in civilization jihad.
There you go. There's your word, civilization jihad. Now, I have a bit of standing in this area because I have read all of the books, the Milestone book. You remember when I used to hang out with the Jewish handlers, the Jewish lesbians in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
And, they taught me a lot. And, of course, you have to take their faith and their creed and their background into account.
Yeah, it's like watching RT.
Right. But they also gave me the translated books of Milestones, of Sharia law, which is it's a crazy book. Really, how you handle a spot on your clothes. If it's a protein spot, you do it this way. I mean, really down to small minutia. So this is, as far as I can tell from the research that I've done, it's true that his sister, who was the one who took the pictures of him with his handcuffs on, that she was indeed suspended from school for being involved in a bomb threat. And if it wasn't true, you would expect there to be a lawsuit or, everyone up in arms, but there's nothing to be found about that. So I'm thinking the sister is probably complicit in this, and she's much older than the kid. Now let's get the backstory that you haven't heard from the mayor of Irving on the Glenn Beck Show.
I have heard that he was not working with a police department, that they had asked him some questions, and that he was very non-responsive, very dismissive, passive-aggressive. When I first read the article, I was first made aware of the situation Wednesday morning. And the first thing I did, and it was early Wednesday morning, was call our chief, was call our city manager, was call a number of people within the school district and get answers to those questions. Because I read it and I thought, okay, how can you arrest a 14-year-old? Why would you put handcuffs on him? Those are the first questions that I was asking to myself. And then you start listening to the answers and you start realizing, okay, this is one side of the story, but the other side of the story is not coming out. Now, I don't know if it's just because the news, the reporter didn't ask, didn't find out, but I will tell you that right now the school district is put in a really bad position because the child is a minor. And as a juvenile, they cannot release those records. The school district a number of times has asked the family to release the records so that you can have the balanced story out there. The family is ignoring the request from the ISD. It would help to describe why it progressed as it did. Nobody's going to walk in and say, oh, you're a 14-year-old child. You're totally cooperating. We have all the answers we need. Let's arrest you. He was not asked to bring this project in. If you look at the breakdown in the demographic of this high school, less than 10% of the students are Caucasian that go to the school. Less than 10%. So the idea that it was white privilege or that there was a jump to conclusion just did not exist. We would like to assume, fortunately, I would like to assume, and I have good reason because I know a lot of the teachers and I know every school board member very well, that this would happen regardless of which student it was. The teacher was reacting to the device. The teacher did not know which student had the device. She was reacting to the device, not to the student.
So the kid was non-cooperative, and the parents won't they won't allow the release of the details of what happened. So this other side of the story is not coming out. And
this is an outrageous scam.
Wait until you hear this part from the mayor.
Well, I know that we had the school and the city each had meetings with the family on Tuesday. The family canceled. They were rescheduled for Wednesday at 2:40. They were supposed to meet with the school district. They didn't. They were just no-shows. At 3:30 on Wednesday, they were supposed to meet with our police chief. I was going to be at that meeting. And at the exact same time that they were supposed to be meeting with us, they were on their front lawn with a press conference. We have tried to reach out to the family a number of times. And this, by the way, was before it ever even hit the papers on Wednesday. The child was arrested the teenager was arrested on Monday. On Tuesday, there was a meeting scheduled. We were told that it was canceled. They rescheduled it for Wednesday, bringing care representatives with them. And again, no-showed.
And now, if you read the reports, the family is, before going to visit President Barack Obama at the White House to show off his cool clock, the family is going to Mecca to participate in the Hajj. So they didn't take a meeting with the cops, with the school district, with the mayor, with anybody. Yes, scam of epic proportion. And what's interesting is the timing of President Obama's cool clock kid tweet.
We never even got a call from anybody from the White House asking to verify any of that information. In fact, I don't even think the picture of the hoax bomb was released before he tweeted out cool clock kid.
Now, this is bothersome to me. Was the president somehow involved in this? Did he have some form of prior notice? Or everyone assumes that POTUS is manned by the president. Well, let's just assume it's not. Was it Valerie Jarrett?
This is a Valerie Jarrett.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Valerie
Susan Rice. Botch of the same sort where they presented Bergdahl,
yep.
Harry father and mom with the president, shaking hands and congratulating the son for being a hero.
Yep.
A moment. It's the same thing. This is just I don't believe that the president was involved. I think he's got these handlers that are just a-holes trying to exploit the situation because they're racists.
But they were exploiting it before the world had even seen the cool clock pictures. Yes. Kicker of this story
Although they do jump to conclusions constantly. Remember when they had the beer guy, the arrested professor, they did the same kind of thing where the
the
police department.
Yep.
Well, the case was still under and it brings up the follow-up.
Well, hold on. I have one more. This is my kicker. Bill Maher, I gotta say, not bad.
14-year-old was arrested for doing a sign.
That, by the way, is Jorge Ramos, who's on the same show, and he's defending it. Oh, he was arrested because of the color of his skin, and the whole panel's like, no, and it's not true because we know that this school had only 10% Caucasian population. So Jorge Ramos is a dick, and he's on the wrong side of this argument. But I don't know if he felt like he had to bite in and hold on to it, because he did, and he sounded like a total douchebag. Everyone was saying, no, man, you got the facts wrong.
14-year-old was arrested for doing a science project. No, there wasn't a science project, right? He should not have been arrested, but he should have opened his mouth and had a conversation about it. He could have said, this is not a bomb.
He was arrested, and they took him off in cuffs and then put him in a cage and burned him. Oh, no, that's ISIS who does that. You know what? We arrested, we put a kid after school for a couple of hours. This is not the end of the world. But you know what? The end of the world does happen all over the world for millions of Muslims who are the victims of other Muslims, of their religion. Where are the liberals on this? You know what? There's a Saudi who is right now, he was arrested. His name is Ali Muhammad Al-Nim, or Nimr. I don't know how you pronounce that.
Notice this stupid Obama bot audience laughing. Oh, you can't pronounce the name. That shows how racist you are, you dicks.
He was arrested for being at an anti-government rally a few years ago. Today, he lost his final legal appeal to not be crucified. So they're going to crucify him. Crucify him and then behead him in case the crucifixion didn't work. So if you haven't used up all your heroism, hashtagging for the clock kid, maybe do it for this guy. There he is.
Yeah. As a young kid, it's like a 17-year-old kid who's going to be crucified and beheaded by the country now heading up the United Nations Council on Human Rights. Good work. Good work. So I
was looking at the tweets.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
The stupid people on Twitter are just out of control with this clock kid.
Yeah.
And then there's a picture going around, which I will put in the next newsletter. Make sure you subscribe, of the clock kid with all the gifts that he got from Microsoft and other companies.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a table full of all kinds of cool shit.
Nice.
And he's got his 2 thumbs up, and that's,
And the kid is clearly brilliant, which means usually on the spectrum, just to give you some, to show you, that this kid is malleable, and all I hear him is, I love the support, all my followers, my, so many tweets, all the Facebook likes. The kid is, it's like giving him candy in virtual candy every day. He's Pavlovian. It's like, oh my God, this is great. And then meanwhile, his sister, related to the Council on American Islamic Relations, is whispering, here's what you do. And she's been involved in crap like this. If you read Milestones, I really don't like being this guy, but shit, the civilization jihad, there's something to it. It cannot be overlooked. And mind you, in Texas, there are 150 charter schools run by Fethullah Gulen, the Harmony schools, where who knows what they're doing in there.
Well, they got on, they made a big deal, the 3x3s.
Three networks, 3 weeks. We're now in our 5th week. This is very good.
I'm trying to wean myself off of it.
Good luck with that.
It's jaw-dropping.
I know.
So they have, I have a couple of things, but the main thing that took place this week was the black doctor, what's his name?
Ben Carson. Yes.
Ben Carson.
A whole another Muslim quagmire.
Made a comment that he doesn't think it would be right to have a Muslim president. He just doesn't. His opinion was that he wouldn't like the idea.
Right.
That's it. That should be, there's no story there.
Right.
In his opinion, he didn't think it'd be a good idea to have a Muslim president. So let's decide to twist this around in every which way we can. And the new top dogs in going after Trump have been recently CBS. And so let's play the Muslim president part 1 plus Trump slam. They gratuitously threw Trump in there. And by the way, I believe they missed the next clip will have the missed Trump comment. Go on.
After the second Republican debate, Donald Trump remains in front, but he has slipped 8 points. Carly Fiorina has jumped into second place, up 12 points. Ben Carson is down 5. Here's Major Garrett.
For the first time, Donald Trump sounded hesitant about his path to the nomination.
I don't think panic is a word that I use, but, sure, I'd like to stay on top. I'm going to do what's right. If I don't make it, that's okay. I'll go back to having a good time and building a business.
Trump's caution is consistent with what he told us in early August, when his poll numbers were rising.
The only thing that can really drive me out, if my numbers drop down, I'm a realist.
Retired neurosurgeon Ben Carson is embroiled in the kind of controversy usually reserved for Trump, for saying this on Sunday about the possibility of a Muslim president.
I would not advocate that we put a Muslim in charge of this nation. I absolutely would not agree with that.
The U.S. Constitution says no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office. But Carson's comments could appeal to part of the Republican electorate. According to a Gallup poll earlier this year, just 45% of Republicans say they would support a Muslim GOP nominee.
Can I slip in a little 13-second clip about Carson?
Yeah, slip it, I guess. Then don't play any. Is that the end of that clip?
Yeah, it's the end of that clip.
Okay, then I got to tell you my observations during that clip.
Just a little slip in.
Republican presidential hopeful Ben Carson is standing by his view that a Muslim should not be president of the United States, telling The Hill in an interview on Sunday that whoever takes the White House should be, quote, sworn in on a stack of Bibles, not a Quran.
And of course, I went back and looked at Article 6 and Article 20. And there is, this swearing to God on a stack of Bibles is not required by the Constitution. So should there be, constitutionally speaking, should there be no religious test and a Muslim is elected president, then technically he could be sworn in on the Quran. Technically.
Yeah, so what? Now, here's the way
I'm just showing it to you because that's what, that's the narrative here.
He's an
Islamophobe. He's a horrible Islamophobe. That's the whole point.
They made a fuss. Then the thing that got me, this was done by Major Garrett, who is a real Republican hater, and he really hates Trump because Trump insulted him once on one of the earlier
really? What a douche. Whatever.
So he got it. So both Katie Tur and Major Garrett should be taken off the Trump beat. They've both been insulted.
Personal
by Trump,
vendetta, yeah.
And now they got a vendetta, and they're going after it. And Garrett goes on, slams all Republicans. But he says that he plays the clip. Well, first of all, let's start at the beginning of that clip. The lead anchor, Scott Pelley, puts it in. Trump is slipping.
Yeah, 8 points slipping. Fiorina's up. She's up
12.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, of course, her baseline was 3, and his was like 35. So that so there's a kind of the way you present it. You present it. Oh, he's slipping 8 points. Oh, 8 points. She's up 12. Oh, 12. That's a bigger number. She must be doing a lot better than him. He's going to bail out. Then you play some random clips where he says, "What happens if you lose?"
Right.
And then an old clip about, he says,
Yeah, I'll go back to work. That's not a current clip. Exactly. It's
an old clip. So you find the old clip. And then you do this thing where you have Carson talk about it with his feelings about, I don't think it's a good idea to have okay, fine. Then you push it over. You change the context to the Constitution.
Yeah.
Carson never said it was unconstitutional.
Nope. No, he didn't.
So they just moved it over because the dumb people that watch these network shows, he's
an Islamophobe. He's an Islamophobe.
Never seen them pull that stunt when it comes to like assault rifles.
No. Good point.
The Second Amendment says this. They never do that.
No.
They only do it. This is selective reporting.
No, what they say is
analysis.
No, what they say is the Bill of Rights and the Constitution is it's a living document. It's outdated.
Work in progress.
Yeah, work in progress. Needs to be updated to today's standards. We're not using muskets anymore. Yeah, exactly.
So let's go to, I think this is NBC, but let's go to the Muslim president, Trump. And there's an ISO in here that was overlooked that I don't think anyone even heard.
Said you'd had no problem putting a Muslim in your cabinet.
Some people said it already happened, frankly. Of course, you wouldn't agree with that.
Good one.
Now, that's the ISO that came from, that's actually from a larger clip, I think, or is that?
That's all it is. That's the ISO.
Yeah, that's the ISO. I played the ISO before I played the bigger clip.
Oh, well.
Okay, I will go back and play that ISO again. Let's play. This is ABC. This is another example. ABC is also against Trump, but they tend to be against Hillary, too, even though they're backing off a little bit on that because they may be realizing she's going to be president. But here's another example of... Okay, I've got two. Let's start with controversy over Muslim as president clip.
Okie dokie.
And America is better than that. Not long ago, some people thought that a Catholic cannot be a president. An African American cannot be a president. They were wrong then, and they are wrong now.
The year before John F. Kennedy was elected, 1 in 4 Americans said they wouldn't vote for a Catholic to be president. Nearly half said they wouldn't support a black candidate. 50 years later, the Catholic pope's set to meet with the nation's first African American president in the White House. Today, 4 in 10 Americans say they wouldn't support a Muslim in that office.
You said you'd had no problem putting a Muslim in your cabinet.
Some people have said it already happened, frankly, but of course you wouldn't agree with that.
The conversation about faith sparked by Donald Trump after he refused to denounce a man who called Muslims a problem.
I assume, Savannah, that I was talking about radical Islam. It's an amazing problem. It's a very big problem.
Muslim Americans have denounced terror attacks carried out in the name of Islam, but some worry they haven't been able to fully shake the perception that's lingered since 9/11.
The face of terror is not the true face of Islam.
There you go.
That's by NBC, very propagandistic piece, and that had the ISO, which you can either play again or not. It's very short.
Yeah, I'll play it. Here we go.
Said you'd had no problem putting a Muslim in your cabinet.
Some people have said it already happened, frankly, but of course you wouldn't agree with that.
The conversation.
Good catch.
So he blew that right by him. What he said there was a lot of people think that Obama's a Muslim, and they do.
Yeah, and then interesting. Trump said it.
I mean, he doesn't wear the ring during this part of the year. He does this. He shows up for different.
Well, you remember that clip very early on before he was elected, and I didn't pull it. And he says, John McCain has questioned my Muslim faith.
Yes, right. We had another clip since then where he also slipped up.
Yeah, I don't remember what that was.
Yeah, I don't either, but we could easily... This is easy to do.
You, by the way, I've always gotten the impression from you that you probably are 75% thinking that the president is a Muslim.
Well, I'm 100% thinking he's an atheist.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And he might be a Muslim, technically, like I'm a Catholic. Never goes to anything and just maybe does a few things. I don't know.
Now, what was interesting to me, John, was the series of events. First, we had Trump, and clearly with the plant, the guy who asked or who said he was asking a question, and then he said the president is a Muslim.
That guy was a rehearsed actor.
And listen to the lesbian on MSNBC. Of course, I'm referring to Chris Hayes.
In another sense, I don't think it's been that bad for him. He changed the conversation once again from Carly Fiorina.
Well, it is amazing, right? Like here's this moment that happened, I think, organically. Although who knows? They haven't found the guy.
He did say he likes this guy, but he says that about a lot of people.
Well, the other thing is, until they find this guy, there's some little part of me that was like, it just felt so theatrical, something about the question. Until they find the guy, I'm going to reserve judgment on the origins of the question.
And then, of course, so that becomes a fracas, but that was kind of covered over by Clock Boy and also by the Ben Carson thing. And to me, it almost felt like Ben Carson was jumping on a grenade to distract attention, and he got attention from our friends at the Council on Islamic American Relations.
To assume and say that American Muslim cannot be president of the United States. His views are inconsistent with the United States Constitution. For that, we really urge politicians, the general public, community leaders, presidential candidates to repudiate his views. And we ask Mr. Ben Carson to withdraw from the presidential race because he's unfit to lead.
Thanks, guys.
Well, these guys move.
Yeah. They are. And they're well known for doing this. This is what they do. And if you read Milestones, this is kind of like the step before the last step of the cultural jihad, the intellectual jihad of just and man, you don't have to do anything. We don't have to fight. We're laying down. We're rolling over. Come on, Clock Boy, cool. Oh, Ben Carson, you're an unconstitutional douchebag. Where he clearly did not say that. Yeah, this is. I find it to be very, very, very troubling. Very, and I'm not a big conspiracy theorist on the Muslims, but I've seen it happen, man. I've seen it happen in the past 15 years in Europe. I've seen it happen.
Well, the Europeans are the ones that get the first wave. Now, let's play the last thing. Since we had Trump on NBC and on CBS, the first one was CBS, then the NBC slammed him. So let's see. Now, ABC has to slam him now because everyone slammed him. Now, this is all, again, different stories done differently for the different audiences. Most of them on, some sort of Paxil or something.
Right.
So this is ABC, and now listen to the way they do the way they do this. Interesting, again, a hater that decides to put in loaded words when they describe one person. This is about the Trump Fiorina little dust up, and this is ABC on Trump room size.
Okay, hold on a sec. Room size, yep.
More than 6 weeks later, Trump is still trashing Kelly in a tweet last night calling her a lightweight. Today, Trump speaking to a half-empty room in South Carolina, turning his fire on another woman, surging candidate Carly Fiorina.
She's fighting to raise money, and her business career was a disaster.
Disaster.
And nobody wants to say it. They say you can't say that because it's sexist.
Fiorina giving it right back.
And leadership is not about how big your office is, how big your title is, how big your airplane or your helicopter or your ego is. Leadership is about service.
David, Carly Fiorina did have kind words for Hillary Clinton today, telling People magazine she has empathy for her and would never personally attack her. As for Donald Trump, his campaign says they have another rally in South Carolina tonight. They're expecting 2,100 people. David?
Tom Llamas covering every step of this campaign for us. Tom, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Now, here is the interesting. There's one more I got to clip after this. But this had the interesting thing. He's in a half-empty room.
Trump.
He doesn't describe the room size that Carly was in.
Trump is in a half-empty room?
Yeah, he says, there's Donald Trump speaking in a half-empty room.
Yeah.
Doesn't say anything about Carly's room size. No. They don't show the empty chairs like they did with the Trump thing.
Right.
She's right up close and personal. She sounds like she's in an empty room, to be honest about it, which wouldn't surprise me. And then they bring it up again, and then they say he's going to speak to a large crowd because he's going to bitch about this. And they give him credit for having 2,100 people coming later. But that's still small because we've been hearing 20,000.
Yeah, 20, 30,000.
So this was a very subtle piece of propaganda. The reason, by the way, there's a lot of our listeners that wonder why we're into these characters, and somebody bitched in some letter. I think I hated the show once Adam Curry endorsed Hillary Clinton.
Well, no, I said she was the uniquely qualified to run the empire.
We all know what you said.
Not everybody, apparently.
Some people aren't listening to the show. They don't understand the entertainment value of all this. And in the case of the Trump thing, I enjoy it because it really brings out the worst in the media.
Yes.
It shows you how slanted these reports are.
Yeah.
And so let's go to Trump's last enemy, the one who really hates him because of a thing that went around. I should have clipped this, where he just ridicules her for being a shit reporter, Katie Turd.
Yeah,
and this is this Katie Tur report on NBC has a number of interesting aspects. One of them is like beyond me why they don't make this front page news, but play it.
Joe Fryer and Carmel, thank you. We turn to politics now, and while Donald Trump retains his lead in the polls among the Republican candidates, the gap has narrowed. Yet Trump is still making headlines tonight over what he said and didn't say about President Obama's birthplace. We'll get more on this tonight from NBC's Katie Tur.
Trump in Charleston, South Carolina, once again hammering birtherism, but saying it was Hillary Clinton who started it.
Yet in 2008, she was the original birther. She's the one that started that whole thing. Hillary is a birther.
Clinton's chief strategist in 2007 did circulate a memo criticizing Obama's, quote, lack of American roots, but did not suggest Obama was born outside of the United States, a charge Clinton today called ludicrous.
This is
such a bad example of what's wrong with, instantaneous reactions and Americans getting all worked up and people feeding prejudice and paranoia like Donald Trump.
Trump's crack today, a departure from what he claimed on Colbert last night.
Barack Obama, born in the United States.
I don't talk about it anymore.
You don't
I talk about jobs. I talk about our veterans being horribly treated. I just don't discuss it.
You know that.
Yet he keeps bringing it up. 3 months in, the Trump playbook is well known. Self-promote and attack.
He tells me he won't change. That brawling swagger, that bravado, it will remain.
And this afternoon, the frontrunner declared he was boycotting Fox News for not treating him fairly.
Yeah, I like that.
Fox shot back. Trump doesn't seem to grasp that candidates telling journalists what to ask is not how the media works in this country.
Okay, now this is the worst propagandistic piece I've heard from her.
Yes,
she's let's start with the last thing, which is the Fox thing. Fox comes out and somebody says something about doesn't grasp what it means to not tell people what questions to ask. That's not what it was about. It was about the failure for them to discuss the poll numbers accurately.
Right.
It had nothing to do with the Q&A or about Kelly or anything else. This was bull crap. She had twisted this, and she twisted it earlier when she says that tracking the difference between what Trump said, blaming Hillary. And by the way, Hillary, it's not beyond me that she's the one who started this idea.
Yeah.
It's a dirty trick that Republicans and Democrats pull these things constantly. Oh, I'm so innocent. It makes more sense to me that when he said that, that's the first time the Bertha thing made sense.
I like that in this report you played, they were talking about how these interviews are all orchestrated and how he knows exactly what's going to be asked and how it works. If I can interject, there was Mika, who I'm starting to like more. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I'm liking Beck. I like Bill Maher. Now Mika Brzezinski, who I'm really starting to take a liking to her. She is deconstructing the media on her own show, which we constantly deconstruct. And she talks specifically about the interview that was on was it CBS on the Sunday show? No, Meet the Press, NBC, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
And she deconstructed it.
It was stunning. She is asked on Face the Nation.
CBS Face the Nation, sorry.
About who at the state.
I got the clips from that.
Yeah, so this is a deconstruction of the... Do you want to play the clips and then the deconstruction?
Yeah, no, play that clip. But before you do that, because it's not going to matter if I get this in, I just wanted to get back to, before I went sideways on myself, that Katie Tur says she tracks the difference between what Trump said when he blamed Hillary, and then he was on Colbert, which was, I believe, earlier, but it doesn't matter. And she says she tracks the difference. It doesn't track. She goes on about this. And then she plays some guy who says it doesn't track. Huh. She never proves that it didn't track.
It's just some other guy who just says it doesn't track.
Yeah.
I love. Do you have a clip of that?
Well, that was in that clip, the Katie Tur clip at the very end, when she says it doesn't track.
Gotcha.
Can't you track the difference and blah, blah, blah. And then she plays some other guy. She doesn't show any examples of this.
Well, why would she?
I mean, this is the worst kind. These network people are really bad.
Listen to Mika deconstruct the Hillary CBS Sunday show interview.
It was stunning. She is asked on Face the Nation about who at the State. She said the State Department authorized it. No, there was Dickerson didn't follow up with a question. Who at the State Department?
Well, that's because the campaign did not allow that.
Because
you know that this interview was set up so that certain questions on policy were required for a certain amount of time, and then they could go into emails for a certain amount of time. And then believe me, it was textbook, planned out. I can see Jen Palmieri and everybody all over that interview.
I've seen this before.
And this happened with two other network interviews that I do know it happens. And I know that she won't come. I can tell you right now,
that's fair.
The conversation with this show stopped because we were not controlled.
I got you. And because we refused to be controlled. But
so it was a lovely interview. She did great.
The thing is, CBS News knows.
And
if they have any sources at the State Department, CBS News knows that nobody at the State Department, based on all of our sources at the State Department, nobody authorized it. She did it on her own.
And it was allowed because she allowed it.
She allowed it. Nobody allowed it. She allowed it. So to not have follow-up questions on that, it was a stunning. I wasn't going to say anything but it was brought up. It was a stunning interview. A stunning interview and textbook on a campaign operation, completely boxing in a Sunday morning show.
The message is clear.
Just clippity-clop.
So I thought that was pretty good.
Since you brought that up, let's play the clip they're talking about.
Okie dokie.
This is Hillary on Face the Nation on the email. This is the email block. And I'm sure it was all rehearsed, or at least the questions were given to Dickerson.
And she even mentioned the women who are running the program.
Yeah, she did.
Her.
She named names.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I like that.
And there's actually some insight here, even though it's Hillary yakking the same thing we've been hearing about. Oh, it was okay, and nobody knew. Other people have done it before. Dickerson actually went off script, I believe, if you listen to this carefully, and asked her something that was actually meaningful. And then she got little short with him and went back into her script.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
But there's one piece of information on here that I thought was interesting because it actually, I think, tells us something.
Some people who know you and have worked with you say what this email situation suggests is that there's nobody around you who can say, Secretary Clinton, this is a bad idea. Don't do this. Do you have such a person?
I have too many, actually.
Yeah, but Huma.
Look, this.
No,
this
but
was,
before the fact, not after. After everybody's giving you advice.
But John, this was done by prior government officials, including.
But not at this level. Not solely a server just for you.
Look, it was done by others. And let me just say that, yes, when I did it, it was allowed, it was above board, and, now I'm being as transparent as possible, more than anybody else ever has been.
Oh, yes, so transparent as possible.
Well, yeah, that's nonsense. Why would you erase all these emails? Now, the thing that was the little insight there that she just threw away when she did her cackle, and by the way, I have another clip if you want to hear the cackle, and I actually clipped it out. In fact, just for a teaser. Yeah, there it is.
Nice.
Sounds just like the Wicked Witch of the West.
It sure does.
What Hillary says when he says, "Who told? Do you not have anybody saying you can't do this? Do you have anybody?"
She says she has too many.
This brings me back to the story of her showing up in San Francisco and going to Fleur de Lis.
This is the restaurant, Fleur de Lis.
The restaurant in San Francisco is now closed, but it was a big top restaurant in the city, and she shows up. Yeah. This is run by Hubert Keller, and...
yes, we have been to this restaurant together once.
Yes, you've been to the restaurant.
Back in the day when I had the Mevio credit card. Yeah.
Now, I was told by the maitre d' at the time about what they order, what they do. He said that Hillary really didn't order anything. Everything was ordered for her, and she couldn't really say or do anything because she had this
handlers
gaggle of bossy women telling her what to do.
Oh, you're such a sexist.
Gaggle of bossy women.
Such a sexist.
Well, it could be a gaggle of bossy men, but it was women. What can I say? If it was men, I'd say the same thing.
Yes, I'm down with you.
So that was kind of insightful. Now, the laughing came from this very strange...
Can I do one little intermezzo on the emails before you go away? Here's Andrea Mitchell on an update on what's happening with the server.
Just when Hillary Clinton was trying to get out from under the email controversy, new reports today that the FBI has been able to recover some of her deleted emails, both personal and work-related, from that private server. Clinton turned over the server to the FBI last month after the FBI started investigating how classified information was handled on the private account. The recovery of her additional emails ensures this will continue to be a drip, drip, drip from the issue.
I like that drip, drip, drip.
Yeah, I actually had that clip too.
Yeah,
this is a disaster because what's going to happen?
You do not want Jim Comey controlling your life because he has something now. The FBI has something. The FBI, we have the very long history of blackmailing politicians, government leaders.
That's their MO.
Yeah. And then we have this former banker who was on the board of HSBC when they were going through the whole drug money laundering scandal. He's now the director of FBI, and the FBI said, "We're not talking. We're not participating. We've got it. We got everything here. It's all under wraps." You do not want Comey running you like that.
Well, it's too late now. You can bet there's some gems in that pile.
Well, I know exactly what's in there. It's going to be her cavalier attitude about Libya, about, screw them. Very similar to when she heard that Gaddafi was killed.
So, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
He didn't have anything to do.
Yeah. She's an elitist,
She is Leona Helmsley.
I have a frequent message contact with a 19-year-old millennial who was in college. And she is very helpful in telling me, her name is Elise, and she's very helpful in telling me why the kids are all in on Bernie. She sends me all these messages that are going viral around the campus. And I read these, I'm like, wow, someone wrote this and it's being shot into the campus life virally. But everyone now hates Clinton. Here's the things you need to know. One, Trump's an asshole. He's a xenophobe. He's no good. Bernie, fabulous, going to give you free everything. It's all going to be groovy. Hillary, not trustworthy, douchebag. And she, on her own accord, this millennial is reading This Town. She says, oh, my God, this. Have you heard the Clinton body count? I said, yeah. And then as a kicker, just to show you how the millennials, how malleable they are, I think it's the second time I've used that word today. They first were all in on Caitlyn Jenner. Loved her. Now everyone hates Caitlyn Jenner because she's not denouncing things like the Caitlyn Halloween costume, who Jenner thinks is funny. She's like, oh, that's funny. I like that. But of course, it sparked outrage, and she's not denouncing other people, so she's not in enough. And now everyone on campus, and this is the University of Arkansas, now everyone hates Caitlyn. So this is a group that is very easy to massage, as it were.
Yeah. And they're so proud of their inability to be massaged.
Although the saved millennials who came to the meetups, they say one thing's for sure: we all think the government is full of shit. So, well, that's a good start, but you're being duped. You're being duped. So it's
it's going on consistently with the clock boy.
Very troubling.
With this whole nonsense with the Muslims and all this. And then Hillary. Let's play the Hillary on Face the Nation. This is what elicited that nutty laugh. And by the way, she's smiling in an awkward way. She's laughing on cue. This is one of her advices. Look at Hillary. You have a cute laugh. Try to laugh more. And she laughs on almost like somebody pulled a string. Boom. She starts laughing for some crazy reason.
Give us 3 words that is the real Hillary Clinton. Just 3.
Just 3? I can't possibly do that. Look, I am a real person with all the pluses and minuses that go along with being that. And I've been in the public eye for so long that I think, it's like the feature that you see in some magazines sometimes. Real people actually go shopping, All
right. Well, I'm going to have to really interrupt you. Thank you, Secretary Clinton.
Don.
Hey, while we're on crazy women, would you like an entremont?
I would love an entremont.
This is Whoopi Goldberg regarding the Planned Parenthood controversy. And she comes up with a whole different genesis of Planned Parenthood than I've ever heard of.
People get pregnant in all kinds of ways.
Yes.
And people cannot always afford to have the child that they are pregnant with. And it is nobody, not even God. God says, come to me. If you have an issue, come to me. Nobody else can judge you. And so here's my question. Now that they've defunded Planned Parenthood, now that you've defunded it and perhaps forgotten why Planned Parenthood came into being, which was people got tired of tripping over women with hangers hanging out of their bodies.
So many mothers.
Wow.
I don't think that's the genesis of Planned Parenthood, but
no, we have a long lecture to give on Margaret Sanger.
Not today, but go ahead.
But the genesis. Let's just say this though: the genesis for Planned Parenthood was one thing and one thing only. It was to overturn or at least back off the Comstock laws and to promote birth control, and more birth control,
and birth control certificates.
And
it's a classic. I still love that one.
And we will discuss this. The woman, I think, and I've got Adam on the same track. We'll just say it, then we'll discuss it more.
This is a tease.
Detail.
This is a tease.
This is more tease. This tease for the C block of show 760. she has been besmirched for no real good reason.
Right.
She has really nothing to do with eugenics.
Now,
she is not at any of the early eugenics conferences. You can track this. She
John,
was always
hold
fighting.
it there. Just hold it there. I think that's enough tease.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really important because we're going to put Margaret Sanger back where she belongs. But Planned Parenthood's genesis and the abortion movement, or the free choice movement, it does not come from people being disgusted about tripping over coat hangers. But it's
and to tease it more,
it's still an entremont.
Over women with hangers hanging out of their bodies because they were giving them.
This is the kind of idiocy that we have to put up with on some of these shows.
But it gets better. And the reason I play this is because there's a lot of women watching this show who take this as fact, like the Reagan facts we had on the previous show from Miss Gould. This is wisdom from Whoopi, everybody.
Themselves, these abortions, it was supposed to be safe and clean. So explain to me now what you're going to do, because if you think this is going to stop women from doing it, it's not. People who are desperate enough to go and get an abortion, there's a reason they need it.
Now, I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to agree with her on that. There's a reason they want it. It's not something you do lightly. However, her kicker.
They feel they need it. And it's get out of my vagina.
She actually said,
get out of my vagina.
This is I think that's an ISO. You should keep it.
Oh, but let me try this.
Get out of my vagina. Get out of my vagina. Get out of my vagina.
I would say I don't like you repeating it.
Wait.
Get out of my vagina.
It's real.
Vagina.
It's real.
Vagina.
It's real.
Vagina.
You got something there. Can you take, and I don't like to tell you how to do your clips.
Yeah.
But the pause between my and vagina.
It's too big?
I think it's 2 beats too long.
I kind of liked it that way, though.
It's just, I think it would be tighter and more.
Well, let me try this. Hold on. Let me try it right now. But I've turned it down. Okay.
Get out of my vagina.
Like that?
No, it has to be tighter.
Tighter than, so to speak.
Sorry.
Hold on. Even tighter? Hold on. Okay. Let's try this then. Wait. Hold on. We're doing this on the fly. I mean, what podcast, what show does this for you?
Nobody.
No, I'm sorry. This is why we're the best podcasting universe. Here we go. Let's try this a little tighter this time.
Get out of my vagina.
There we go.
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay. Well,
I don't like the fact that she stumbled. Be nice to cut that out too, but that's okay. That's fine.
Yeah.
Onward. I had one more Hillary clip. It's not important. She's just blasting Trump. But while we're in entremonts, I might as well play the kind of sketchy native ad that David Muir on ABC Nightly News ran. But they couldn't come up with anyone to buy the native ad, so they ran a house ad.
And the wild ride going viral tonight, Facebook now releasing this 360-degree video simulating a scene from the new Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens, due out come December.
That's not news.
No, wait.
And they never mentioned that Disney owns that movie.
Oh, of course not. Which owns ABC, Cap Cities. Well, let me play a native ad for you then. This you probably saw this one, but this has a kicker at the end, which I wasn't expecting.
A 17-year-old Tabor Academy senior was at football practice when something felt off.
I had pain in my chest and my back whenever I took some deep breath.
He would have chalked it up to a hot day on the gridiron.
Right now it's at 87, which is normal.
But his Apple Watch alerted him to something serious.
I could just feel my heart pounding. And so after practice, I went and took a nap. My heart rate was still at like 145.
Now, so far, it's a news story, but okay, the Apple Watch saved it. But wait until you hear all the bits that are brought into this, especially at the end.
I noticed on my Apple Watch.
The Apple Watch takes your resting heart rate about every few minutes or so. So right now, I can tell that my resting heart rate is normal for me. Paul knew there was a problem when his resting heart rate was more than double his average. Paul went to the hospital where he learned he had heart, liver, and kidney failure, which could have been fatal if not for his watch.
Just grateful that he's healthy. I can remember when the Apple Watch was coming out, and I said, okay, there's no way I'm ever buying one. I went out on Saturday and purchased an Apple Watch for my wife and for myself.
He can't play football just yet, but Paul has something else to look forward to, an internship next summer with Apple.
Woohoo! Come on.
I know, terrible.
On.
The worst.
That's not okay.
That was a package deal. I don't know, bought and sold.
Unbelievable. And he has an internship at Apple. Oh, yeah. Okay. I hope they have good health care.
Okay, I think we should. You want to take a break because I got a bunch of international stories.
I think so.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I took
No, it's okay.
cue.
We want to thank a few people for show 759, and we want to do it now, including Richard Terrio from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Came in at $166.66, and you must have met up with him.
Yes, and he was in Colorado Springs. This is, Richard.
Yeah, Richard. Simon Hart, $116.08 from Parts Unknown. Clay Gilliland in Chandler, Arizona, $111.11. Dudakaliv. What do you think?
Dudakliv, yeah, Dudakliv
in Brunswick, Victoria, Australia. Danny Baker in Morristown, Tennessee. Oh, and Dudakliv was $111.11 also, if I didn't say that. Danny Baker, Morristown, Tennessee. Sir Arthur Gobitz in Zaandam, Netherlands.
He said, I thought to spend it on one last prostitute before the end of the world was here, but as the end did not come, I'd like you to be able to sustain your excellent analysis of the world to keep on air streaming. So good. Thank you. Hooker money.
He says, keep watching the mud flats.
Okay. John, how are the mud flats today?
Well, actually, today the tide's in, and the mud flats are coated with about an inch of water, it looks like.
Oh, my.
And they're not visible. So, that happens.
Oh, my.
Martin Anderson in Copenhagen, $100. It's part of the old incorruptible $100 make good donation. You have to read a few newsletters and figure out what that's about. Martin Instrument Laboratories in Thornton, Colorado, $99.99.
Yes, I don't have it ready. I'm working on something else.
Stephen Schwartz in Schertz, Texas, $88.88.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Daniels in Dallas, Texas, $80. James Green in Sugar Hill, Georgia, $80. Sir Jim Zukal in Los Angeles, California, $69.69.
Swazelnuffs.
He says a sexy tank of gas for you.
Thank you.
Sir Patrick Coble, our buddy in Fairview, Tennessee. The guy named Ben.
Yeah, dude named Ben on a Ducati.
On a Ducati, $66.33. David Humphreys in Redmond, Washington, $60. Christopher McClymond in Erskineville, New South Wales in Australia, $54.32. Bradford Ramsey, $52.80. These are Mile High Clubs, Wichita Falls, Texas. Also in the Mile High Club will be David Replogle. What do you think that is? Replogle. In Middleville, Michigan. We have a lot of Michigonians, I have to say.
Yeah.
Steph Baker in Heemskerk, $52.80. Jeremy Johnson in Port Angeles, Washington.
And he sends us an 88. 88 to you, KF5SLN.
88. Then dropping off to $51.50 is Daniel Mitchell in Topsfield, Massachusetts. Eric Von Martyr in Van Nuys, California is $50, and these are all $50 donors finishing off the list. Joe Schwartzbauer in Florissant, Missouri. Michael Kern in Cypress, California. Macy Stolowski in Calgary, Alberta. Sandy Geisler in Watkinsville, Georgia. Jason Daniels in Dallas, Texas. Patrick Maycom in New York City. And finally, Andrew Martin in Turella, New South Wales, Australia. Brandon Mink, Tempe, Arizona. Daniel LeBoy in Bath, Michigan. And he concludes our donors for show 759. I want to thank each and every one of them. Also, the people who gave lesser amounts and wanted to remain anonymous or subscribers. I just like to subscribe, and they need to subscribe because we need subscribers. Please subscribe.
We do need subscribers. So let me get a couple of the donations from the tour. Isaac Chase, Colorado Springs. He helped us out with the meetup, $100. I have here Dave Cardinia. He gave us this. I think he was also in Colorado Springs. $52.80. So that's a Mile High Club donation. We already talked about Jason Lane, the Bears Handyman Service. Then we have Evan Montgomery. Evan was one of the millennials, $100 and some nice Colorado homegrown. Thank you very much. Then we have, that's Jason Lane. Hold on. Mike T. And Mike gives us $100, and he says he wants a karma shot, of course. I'm going to give that to you. And I have Dr. Johnson from Boulder, Colorado, and he gave us a check, $133.33. And so we appreciate that. Yeah, very nice. We have Kurt Singer from Golden, Colorado, and Kurt gave us $20. He says, in the morning, gentlemen, thank you for your courage and the hard work you do to keep us citizens informed. Thanks to the analytical tools you provide, I no longer feel apathetic and disillusioned from American politics. This is my first donation, so I'd like to request a de-douching. He certainly deserves it.
You've been de-douched.
I recently hit my parents in the mouth, and I think they are now listening to No Agenda regularly instead of Rush Limbaugh. Yay. Save. Thanks again for the valuable insight. I look forward to future deconstructions. If you read this on the air, please throw in some jobs karma for the whole NA family. Thank you from Kurt. And there was one other guy I wanted to mention. Was very cool. Met him in the Boulder meetup. Just grab my email here. Very good. Such a typical No Agenda guy. I really, really like talking to him. His name, it was Aaron. And Aaron... I said, hey, what do you do? Well, I live off of TaskRabbit. TaskRabbit is, this, you get an app and you say, I need someone to do something, and then someone bids on the job and they get it. And he drives around. I said, well, where do you live? Well, kind of everywhere. I'm from Austin originally, but now I'm up here. And, well, what do you mean? He said, well, he has a 33-foot motorhome, one of those classic ones.
Yeah.
Like the one that our buddy up there in Seattle has. Only 33 feet long, and that's how he does it. He goes around from town to town. He stays in Walmart. He's actually Home Depot parking lots are better than Walmart. And he just waits for a TaskRabbit, and he's doing quite well. And he's having he's having a great life. Yeah, very nice. And an anonymous $50 donation from Anonymous from Colorado Springs. A female donation who also gave me. Some Colorado goodness, but she wanted to remain anonymous.
I don't blame her.
Then we have you have a make good?
I have two make goods I want to read.
Okay, go ahead.
Ryan Stoner says, you correctly pronounced Zacharias as his name, but in an email I sent after PayPal took a shit with my donation message, I told you to change my last name to Stoner along with the message. My wife nearly pooped in her pants when she heard the name, but the excitement was short-lived. Truncated message. This for show 758 also.
Why was the excitement short-lived?
I don't know.
If your wife's pooping in your pants, that's excitement, man.
Well, maybe she had to go to get to wash her pants. I have no idea. That'd be short-lived.
Yeah.
I would want to say a sweet hello to my stewardess, Caroline. I've always been flying high when she's around. And John, it's Illinois, not Illinois. You're from here. How can you screw it up? To annoy Caroline, I want to say we to all the CSO and CSC members that were, and it's blank.
That's all I got.
So it's got truncated again. Well, the Illinois thing is that somebody wanted me to pronounce a bunch of words because a Chicago accent, I believe, says Illinois.
Yes, and Tina the Keeper calls me Adam.
Yeah, so that would be a Chicago.
Which I find kind of sexy.
Is the way,
it's kind of sexy.
Yeah. Illinois is the way it's supposed to be pronounced. Now, I've broken my habits of these Midwestern pronunciations I picked up from my mother, who is from Chicago. So I used to say milk. Pello.
Pello?
Yeah, Pello. And so I now say milk and pillow.
And we're very proud of you.
And, well, the family's annoyed because they kind of like ridiculing me. But I still say Illinois.
Does your family truly ridicule you? I wish they listened to the show because, the amount of emails, but every meetup, everyone's come up to me like, man, we want to know more about Lucy.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let me think.
Are your kids not ridiculing you about that? They don't listen to the show, so they don't know.
Nobody listens to the show. It's a good thing. They don't listen
to the show. Yeah, exactly. All right.
I dated a girl named Lucy when I was in college.
Yeah, but she's hot, and we want pictures, photographic evidence, please.
I don't even have any pictures of her.
All right. Is that it for the make goods?
Yeah, I think that should do it.
We congratulate Dame Bang Bang on her baronetessness, on her way to Baroness Hood. And so we will update the peerage map appropriately. And I want to give everyone a jobs karma.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
And remind you that we'll have another show on Sunday.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Denise Beck says happy birthday to her husband, Ryan. Stephen Schwartz says happy birthday to his daughter, Nadia, who will be 8 on September 24th. Sir Patrick Coble celebrating today, so he gets to live one more day, and actually one more year. And Chloe and Will say happy birthday, Daddy-O. Daddy Daniel Mitchell, happy birthday from all your buddies here at the best podcast in the universe. Now, before I forget...
And it's only 5 more days.
No, but this is... Right. Yeah. Oh, today's the 24th. So it's 4 more days.
Yeah, it's 24. It's 4 more days.
Yeah. We had Sir Mark Milliman had his daughter Madison at the meetup. She was super, super cute. And she says, well, I listen to the show usually because my dad is playing it really, really loud throughout the whole house. But she says sometimes I actually listen to it on my own. And Maddie is. Oh, she's 9, 10. She could have been 18 for all I know. And she said her favorite, I'm putting the sequence together right now, and I want to play that for her. She wanted her favorite sequence of jingles. The kids always love it.
Eat me, Hillary Clinton. Yay! Shut up, slave.
So there you go, Maddie. There you go. Cool kid. Very cool kid. Big future for her.
Well, there's, yeah. Right, play us out, because I'm talking about cool kids. We do have a story about cool kids.
Well, before we get to cool kids, I have one observation and one question for you as we stay with the United States the election cycle, which, my God, another year of this crap. Anyway, this is Elizabeth Warren. I did not see the whole interview. This is a compilation of her on Stephen Colbert on The Late Show. It was about time she showed up. We've been waiting for it to happen.
She has launched a one-woman crusade against the billionaire class. She's like Batman, but her enemy is Bruce Wayne. First time I met you, you were not a senator. Now you are a senator. And not only are you a senator, you're one of the household names in American politics. And yet you were one of the few household names that is not running for president of the United States. Are you sure you're not running for president of the United States? Can you tell us why you'd be such a terrible choice to be president of the United States? Why we shouldn't be clamoring for an Elizabeth Warren presidency?
So, look, I'm out there every single day in the middle of a huge fight, and it's a fight about what this country is going to look like going forward. The game is rigged. For the rest of America, it's just not working, and it's time for us to take that government back and make it work.
Well, you don't sound like you're running for president, I'll tell you that.
So there she is. She's back on the stage. And I believe that clip may be related to something else that we haven't talked about. And there's a big problem within the Democratic Party. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I just love to despise this woman. Everything about her makes me cringe. And she's the leader. She's the chairperson. They want more debates. The party is calling for more debates, and I have a question to ask you about that.
Debate with who?
Well, I'm going to ask you a question in a moment. So there's 6 debates scheduled for the Democrats. I don't know how many the Republicans have, but they have a ton of them. And this has been ongoing. We had what's his face? Was it Walker who? No, it was the other guy who was complaining about the lack of debates, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz had a real sourpuss face about it. Anyway, here she is talking at a local convention.
We are going to have a debate again right here in New Hampshire in December. I'm ready to debate with you. Just the other day at a campaign event in Rochester, Trump was at it again. One of his supporters in the audience called President Obama a Muslim. My friends, what's more important, drawing a contrast with Republicans or arguing about debates? Let's focus on our mission and the task at at hand. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. We have a job to do. Let's focus on our task at hand.
I don't know who did the sweetening of the clip, but it's good.
We want debates.
Yeah, so they want debates, and so I'm thinking, what are they talking about? Is because they feel Bernie's not getting a fair shot? I know the other guy, the guy no one can remember his name.
There's two of them actually. There's 4 candidates.
What's his name?
I can't remember his name either.
Yeah,
Let me look.
I'll look him up too. Then of course we still could see Elizabeth Warren pop in.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so. Yeah.
No, let's hope so.
Yeah, I'm down with it. I'm down with it.
You know, so who needs another Clinton in there?
Or a Bush.
Well, the thing that got me this week in terms of bull crap.
Martin O'Malley is the guy who's also calling for more debates. O'Malley.
Isn't Martin O'Malley a Republican?
No. Democrat.
The thing that got me was the Pope. So they played the Pope to death. I mean, it's just like everyone's a Catholic all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So the Pope comes in, and then they have this. I give NBC credit because I don't believe NBC ran this bull crap where the little girl's running along the side.
That was so set up. If you look at the video, they're holding on to her, and then the guy picks her up, the migrant child with a little banner.
The little migrant
setup.
child.
What a setup.
It was a really bad setup, but there's a couple of funny things about it I will discuss since I saw all the 3 networks carry this, except NBC. Take it. NBC didn't have the big version was CBS. This is a 5-year-old, by the way, who apparently this 5-year-old can spell discrimination in some sort of block letters that she didn't write. It's bullcrap. 5-year-olds don't write. 5-year-olds pre-kindergarten. Okay. But let's play the 5-year-old CBS News scam clip.
Okie dokie.
The first pope in 1,000 years, not born in Europe. Maybe that's what was behind the most remarkable moment of this day, when a 5-year-old girl immigrated beyond the security line.
Yeah, no.
Sophie Cruz.
Hold on. No. She was being, I have the video in the show notes. She was being led by the hand by a guy and being positioned, put into her spot, and then handed off to the guy by a cop, and then handed off to the guy who then, the minute the Pope comes by, holds her up and rushes over. And he has a history of doing this. I put more clips in the show notes under the video and clips and stuff. He does this like all of it. He's driving around in Italy in his Fiat, which I think it's cool move, by the way, in the Fiat. And then all of a sudden stops him. There's a handicapped child, and he blesses the child. And this is all PR. It's perfectly orchestrated. Bullshit.
Sophie Cruz squeezed through security barriers to deliver a message to the Pope. A child of illegal immigrants,
Lies.
She has put a new face on the debate over immigration reform.
No.
Sophie traveled to Washington from Los Angeles with her father.
And what did you do?
I ran to the Pope.
And what did you give him?
The letter and a shirt like these.
In her letter, she asks Francis to help all immigrant children. The Secret Service held Sophie back, but when the Pope saw her, he waved her over and blessed her. It reminded us of a moment last year when another girl from Los Angeles greeted the Pope in St. Peter's Square in Rome. 11-year-old Jersey Vargas traveled there to help her father, Mario, who was in the custody of U.S. immigration. She called it her miracle moment.
I told them, please help my family because my dad was going to be deported, and it's unfair that millions of children are also suffering in my same situation. And he blessed me, he kissed me on my forehead, and he told me that he was going to talk with the president.
Not long after, her father was released, and his case is now under review. Jersey was in Washington today hoping for another meeting with the Pope.
I'm passionate because about what happened to my dad. I also want to make a difference in the world because I won't stop fighting until the immigration reform happens.
Okay, so we just dealt with a double pile of crap doled out by CBS.
Dynamite.
Now, here's the kicker to me.
Yeah.
ABC ran the same story, more or less, without that second girl.
Uh-huh.
And the 2 letters that they showed were different.
What do you mean, the 2 letters?
They showed the letter.
Oh, the letter from the girl? Really?
Yes. They showed the letter on CBS. It was written in like a pencil or something, and it was no misspellings, by the way. no misspellings. And then the letter that they showed on ABC was written in crayon with every letter a different color and a drawing in the middle.
This is a scam.
It's a horrible scam.
Can I play a little clip here? Something that I noticed in this whole... I heard it on every network carrier, so we were driving. I heard it. Okay. Obama's cadence during the Pope speech. This is in front of the White House, and the Pope did his whole thing about climate change, which was clearly someone said, "Hey, Pope, read this." Oh, but I'm not. It's all phonetics. He spoke English in that particular speech the way I speak Italian if someone writes it down phonetically. Climate change, climate change. Anyway, the president, all of a sudden, he's dooing this JFK Martin Luther King thing. Did you catch this?
No, I didn't hear
listen to this.
You remind us that people are only truly free when they can practice their faith freely.
Freely. That's the press their faith freely. Very good. Come on, more.
Here in the United States, we cherish religious liberty.
We cherish religious liberty. What is he doing?
It was the basis for so much.
And then the wind starts blowing. Now it sounds like he's talking directly from hell.
What brought us together. And here in the United States, we cherish our religious liberty, but around the world at this very moment, children of God, including Christians, are targeted and even killed because of their faith. Believers are prevented from gathering at their places of worship.
God.
Faithful. He uses the word believers the way a Muslim does.
Are imprisoned.
He does.
Churches are destroyed.
Listen to this. Church are destroyed.
So we stand with you. Defense of religious freedom and interfaith dialogue, knowing that people everywhere...
By the way, interfaith dialogue is what the Muslims use. That is truly... You talk to all the Gulen guys, they're all about interfaith.
Interfaith dialogue, knowing that people everywhere must be able to live out their faith free from fear and free from intimidation.
What is going on with that?
No, this is obviously his new preacher voice he's going to adopt, so when he gets out of the job, he's going to go around talking like this. It's terrible.
Yeah, it really is.
Now here, so let's leave. I have one more U.S. clip that's worth playing because it wasn't played up much, but there's a lot of people that don't like this Pope. And I think we may be becoming two of them.
Yeah.
But here is a clip that wasn't played up much. ABC played it for some reason. ABC's all in on the Pope.
Yeah.
ABC is the ABC on judges who will not attend a Pope speech.
Okay.
There's another late-breaking headline involving members of the Supreme Court tonight, the justices who will not be attending this historic joint meeting of Congress.
That's right. Some will, some won't. Among those who won't, conservative Catholics, Justice Scalia, Justice Alito, and Justice Thomas. They don't say why, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and they're Catholic, all three of them.
Absolutely.
All right, Terry Moran with us.
Oh, what are they trying to say?
That was a little tidbit, wasn't it?
Yeah, what are they trying to say?
I don't know. They just don't like the Pope. There's a lot of people that don't like this Pope, including Stephen Colbert, curiously.
There's a story that involves Hillary that I want to take in a different direction because I did a little digging and found a pretty decent interview with the guy. All three networks, and I'm surprised this is not in your 3x3x5. All three networks had little pieces about Hillary Clinton jumping on this ex-hedge fund guy who bought the so-called AIDS drug and jacked up the price. Yes. What do you mean?
It's an anti-parasitic.
Thank you. I said so-called AIDS drug because we need to talk about that too. But here are all three networks shilling for Hillary.
Wall Street is reacting to a new proposal from Hillary Clinton. She wants to cap prescription drug prices for some patients at $250 per month. It comes amid growing outrage over a 5,000% increase in the price of a drug used by cancer and AIDS patients. Clinton calls that price gouging.
Okay, price gouging. That's ABC. That was GMA. Here's CBS This Morning.
The topic entered the political debate on Monday, with Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton tweeting, "Price gouging like this in the specialty drug market is outrageous." Hillary Clinton says she will lay out a plan today about how to take on what she calls price gouging in the specialty drug market.
And then finally, we have the Today Show on NBC.
The topic entered the political...
What?
Aren't all drugs specialty drugs?
You're asking the wrong question.
The topic entered the political debate on Monday, with Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton tweeting, "Price gouging like this in the specialty drug market is outrageous." Hillary Clinton says she will lay out a plan today about how to take on what she calls price gouging in the specialty drug market.
Okay, so there it is.
These were not on the nightly news. None of them.
Okay.
The guy was on the nightly news. Everyone interviewed him. He's just a douchebag.
Well, I'm going to say maybe he's not. And that was.
Have you ever seen him?
Yes, he looks like a douchebag. That was so here was my thinking. My initial reaction when I heard the story was, what a dick. Someone really did that? What a scam. Then I
think this thing is a setup.
Will you let me finish? Then I thought maybe this was a setup scam. Indeed, because Hillary was so quick to jump on it, and all three networks covered her, maybe not on the nightly news, but they covered her. And then I saw an interview with the guy on Bloomberg, and I want to play this because, well, first we have to start by saying it is mischaracterizing to say this is an AIDS drug. That's
to put your game meme in play.
Well, yes, you put your LGBTQIAP meme in there, but actually it's used more for malaria. People who suffer from malaria, and it is not an uncommon disease, but you have different forms, the benign and, of course, the malignant. But here's this guy. Just listen to him as he's talking about why he acquired the drug.
I think you meant chronic.
Chronic? Okay. Yeah,
you said malignant, which is a...
But it's really, it's for a virus. It's an antiviral, I believe, this drug.
I thought it was antiparasitic.
Okay, antiparasitic. That's correct. Listen to it.
That, look, this means that we're going to have to, the price of this means we're going to have to look for alternative treatments. We can't take Daraprim anymore.
And I'll mention the Daraprim. It's out of patent. Okay.
Yes, public domain.
Public domain.
More, and we won't be able to keep this drug because it's so expensive now in stock, and that may delay treatment for some patients.
So we've put the right protocols in place to make sure, in fact, that patients get the drug faster and with almost no cost. So previously there were copays for this drug. We have a copay assistance program that will limit that. Previously there was a limited free drug program. We've expanded that. Half of our drug we give away for $1. So I think that shows our commitment to patients. And if you can't afford the drug, we'll give it away totally for free, especially if the patient's in need or doesn't have an income.
Now, this is before he went back and changed the pricing, but stay with it.
But then how does that intersect with your a stated objective, which is that you need to make money off of this drug?
Well, it's an impediment, but at the same time, we will never deny someone treatment for their ability to pay. In fact, even if we're having a disagreement with the insurer, we'll send them drug for free in the interim until we resolve that with the insurer, and that's another thing that the prior companies hadn't done.
So he's going to complete this spiel in a moment. But obviously, there was something to be done here because, pre-existing conditions and the way Obamacare is set up and the way the insurance companies work and cancer drugs, some of them could be $500,000. And there's a reason for it, and that is to pay for the research. This drug really only nets revenue about $10 million a year.
And now that toxoplasmosis has companies actually generating a profit, remember, this drug's from 1940s.
Right.
The 1940s. We can make a better drug for this disease.
But is that what you're trying to do, though?
Absolutely.
Is put the drug out of business?
Absolutely. We're spending tens of millions of dollars to make a better version of Daraprim that is more effective, less toxic. Daraprim is a very toxic drug. And these patients deserve a drug company that is turning a profit, a fair profit, and also developing a drug that is better for them. They don't deserve a drug that's 70 years old. They deserve a modern medicine that can cure toxoplasmosis quickly. There's a lot of issues with toxoplasmosis.
Okay, so let me get this straight. So you are fine with, raising the price on this because you want to make money off of this drug, which you will then put into alternative that you will put that money into alternative research to see if there's a better way to treat this infectious disease, not with Daraprim?
Absolutely. We know there's a better way to treat this disease. We're developing 3 or 4 different kinds of new drugs for toxoplasmosis. Remember, no one's cared about this illness for a long time from the pharmaceutical perspective, if ever. And I think that's a terrible thing if you're suffering from toxoplasmosis. Now you have a powerful ally in our company that is looking to make new drugs for you, is willing to spend that money. And to do that, we all know drug development is very expensive. They estimated a new drug can cost $1 billion to develop. Mm-hmm. It's only fair that we make profit and we take that money and we put it back into the patient's hands. I don't advocate for companies that raise price and don't do any research. And by the way, there are dozens of those. So the spotlight on me is an interesting thing. I'm not thinking too hard about it because I know what we're doing is right. And the reality is that, by making a better version of Daraprim, 2 billion people have this. In fact, there's a good chance one of the 2 of us has it. And the latent form is totally fine, but if you become immunosuppressed, it can kill you. And so if this bug evolves, it'll be a ticking time bomb, and I think we need to prepare now in case the toxoplasma mutates. And we know that Daraprim, our drug, does not cure you 100% of the time. It's about an 80% rate. Okay. I think we can get that to 100 with research.
I like what he said.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that he's been falsely accused.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, what's it got to do with Hillary?
Well, wow. Hello? Because I thought at first that she jumped on the bandwagon. I thought it was a setup, but she jumped on the bandwagon without just willy-nilly.
I still think it's a setup.
Maybe. But I thought this guy's spiel was pretty reasonable.
Well, he seemed, I don't know. I've seen him be interviewed 2 or 3 times. He just seems like a total hedge fund douchebag.
Well,
kid.
Yeah, true. So?
Well, sometimes there's a lot of indicators that.
I don't know. I just thought the 2 flowed nicely to each other, and I thought that there was probably a mischaracterization.
Well, I think now this is okay. Here we go. Let me deconstruct what you just did. First, you come up with a connection that nobody's come up with ever. So there's not much of a conspiracy going on, and then you debunk the connection that you created.
Yes.
This is not fair. You can't do that.
It's totally
fair. You create your own scenario that nobody has been on board
and then I debunk it. Am I good or what?
And then you debunk it. What kind of a presentation is that?
I'm saving everybody the effort of saying you're stupid, like the Bill Nye clip that I got duped on.
Oh, you did get duped.
Oh, man. And you know what? A producer sent me a prepackaged...
still.
A producer sent me that prepackaged recording. So they took it off somewhere where it was obvious that this was a fake and sent it to me.
Well, no. Newbie producer.
No, well, not. I don't think it was a newbie. But I got duped, and I hereby return my clip of the day.
Did you really get clip of the day? Because I don't remember you playing
you gave me clip of the day for that, and I feel horrible.
Well, I feel horrible being duped by your clip to give you a clip of the day.
Well,
I like the clip, though. Let's play. I'm going to play something. I got a clip here for you. So the overlooked thing because of the Pope, they got this, Xi, the Chinese
Xi Jinping,
Anyway, Xi is in the country, and they're you should send him back. But he actually
send him back. No,
well, people, that's what the right wing talk shows all say.
Send him back. Yeah.
So he actually came here to go visit with Boeing because they just did a big deal. They bought 300 jets for the various Chinese airlines.
Yes, it's a big deal.
It's a $38 billion deal. So he is in
Seattle.
He shows up in Seattle and hangs out. And here is the rundown. Now, this has got a little tidbit in it that has got no play on the 3x3s. The big networks. Nobody's talking about this. This plays right into Donald Trump's complaining. Mm-hmm. That's why I think they're trying to get rid of him, because the Chinese have got something going on. See if you can spot the little gotcha in here that you'd think would be network news. And this
be a day.
I'm sorry?
Xi in Seattle. It's a rundown.
It will be a day full of business for President Xi Jinping and First Lady Peng Liyuan. They'll get an opportunity to tour the factory where Boeing makes its aircraft. And, of course, we understand from Chinese state media that 300 of those aircraft have now been ordered and that there is now an agreement to make the 737 in China. So President Xi Jinping getting an opportunity to knock the tires, so to speak, on those aircraft that will be coming to China. He'll also get an opportunity to go to the Microsoft Tech Summit, which is held annually between the United States and China in those respective countries. In attendance, we expect executives anywhere from Alibaba and Baidu to Amazon. He'll then go to Lincoln High School with First Lady Peng Liyuan, and they'll get an opportunity to meet with students at that high school. That is in the city of Tacoma. That school has a teacher exchange with a school in Fuzhou, and that's because there's a sister city agreement with Fuzhou. And, of course, who signed it? President Xi Jinping himself when he was a party official back in 1994.
Yeah, I heard that they'll be shipping parts to China for final assembly in China. That was the full deal, I guess.
Actually, what they're talking about in the United States, I mean, the Chinese, this is Chinese news agency we listen to.
Yeah.
So it's all carried by the Chinese approved, whatever they say. So if they say they're going to build a 737 in China, that means that's what they're going to do someday. It doesn't mean initially.
Yeah. So it's shipping jobs overseas.
Yes, which is what Trump keeps bitching about.
Yeah. Of course it wasn't picked up. Why bother?
So they don't pick this up. Great big story. The Seattle Times is the only, and actually the local paper up there, the Post-Intelligencer, they've been on this story, but the Boeing claims no. All we have is a 737 center, and a center is different than an assembly plant. And we have to do this because Airbus, and I didn't know this, has already got two factories.
Oh, really?
Yes. Airbus already has an A320 final assembly plant
in Airbus. Yeah.
Airbus, Tianjin, and has committed to locate a A330 completion center there too. This is a completion center, and the way I understand it, what they're going to do initially, and this is because you just don't build a giant facility to build 737s because it's too complicated.
No.
But what they're going to do is they're going to first do the completion center of the 737 in China, and that means they're going to fly. I believe they're going to fly over a gutless 737, a 737 with nothing inside.
Right.
And then the Chinese will be putting in the carpeting, the seats, and they'll be doing the paint.
Yeah.
And there's a crazy looking thing flying over. And
they're going to lower the ceiling.
All the things that you do at the end. But it seems as though
it only makes sense because the iPhone is built in China and assembled in Cupertino. It's we might as well tit for tat.
Now although they said they're going to build them there, I believe they will. I believe that both Airbus is ahead of us, and Boeing will have whole factories to build these jets.
I hear they can get 50% more seats into the Chinese 737.
You're just going to compete with the kind of jingoism, these jokes.
I'm trying.
You put them on there sideways.
Thank you. I was waiting for the big punchline. You finally got it. Thanks.
Now, so they're going to do this. There's no question in my mind. It was just that nobody wants to talk about it, and our news media is definitely not going to talk about it because it'll bring Trump back up to the top, and we don't want that.
No.
So we don't want anything that's going to give Trump any edge. We're just not going to talk about it. Now, I want to read this from the Seattle Times. Technically, it's a violation of the agreement on trade in civil aircraft.
Oh, really?
Yes, an agreement amongst many members of the World Trade Organization for a country to require placement of work in return for jet sales. Very specific. So we're in violation of the World Trade Organization agreements with this idea that we're going to do anything in China to sell more jets. Anyway, this is like a story that seems to me should be front page, front center.
Yes, of course it should. But we can't do that. We can't do that.
We have a little girl running up with a bogus note. They can't even figure out which note it is. And that's the stories that they play on the network.
It's
terrible.
Let me do a quick Trump thing just because the guy is too funny. I'm so happy he's in the race.
To the gate, to the gate, to the climate gate.
Boom. Okay. Trump on a radio show talked about global warming, climate change, and you just got to love his answers.
Well, first of all, I'm not a believer in global warming. I'm not a believer in man-made global warming. It could be warming, and it's going to start to cool at some point. And in the 1920s, people talked about global cooling. I don't know if you know that or not. They thought the Earth was.
He's got his dates screwed up. It was the 70s, but okay.
No, I think there was a moment in the
20s as well. Okay,
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, good.
Cooling. I don't know if you know that or not. They thought the Earth was cooling. Now it's global warming. And actually, we've had times where the weather wasn't working out, so they changed it to extreme weather, and they have all different names, so that it fits the bill. But the problem we have, if you look at, our energy costs and all of the things that we're doing to solve a problem that I don't think in any major fashion exists. I mean, Obama thinks it's the number one problem of the world today, and I think it's very low on the list. So I am not a believer, and I will, unless somebody can prove something to me, I believe there's weather, I believe there's change, and I believe it goes up, and it goes down, and it goes up again, and it changes depending on years and centuries. But I am not a believer, and we have much bigger problems. I talk about global warming. To me, the worst global warming, and I mentioned this to you once before, is nuclear warming. That's our global warming.
I'm sad that he's doing that, man. That's very confusing. He means nuclear bombs, nuclear war, but it's really making nuclear power look shit.
That's going to be because we have incompetent people, and we have these rogue nations, and not even rogue nations anymore. We had a case where Vladimir Putin about 3 months ago threw out the nuke word, and I never thought I'd hear that from from Russia. But he said they better be careful because, we're a nuclear nation. That was a hell of a statement for him to make. And that's a statement that's made because of a lack of respect.
Yeah, dude. That sounds sciencey enough to be true.
He's going to get in real trouble because he's working against the military-industrial complex. He thinks he's for it by saying he's going to build up the military, but he's really not. I mean, he's not privy to all the multiple agendas.
He's not getting in anyway.
I have and we're getting towards the end here, John. This is a clip that I want you to tell me what is wrong with this. This is the president. We have the SAFE Act is working its way through Congress. This is the bill to get people out of jail, particularly nonviolent offenders, people who smoke some weed. And it's working its way through. We'll see what comes of it and what the ultimate bill looks like. But the president is pushing this. He likes the idea. So he went to a correctional facility and sat down with a number of inmates. Did you see this at all?
No.
Well, this is beautiful. Listen to what the inmates. He comes in. It's beautifully lit. It doesn't look like a grungy prison, but it's a prison, but it kind of looks like
one of the better ones.
One of the better ones. It looks beautiful, and he introduces himself.
Go to San Quentin.
He introduces himself to everybody, and then he just says something unbelievable.
How y'all doing? How you doing, sir? All right.
How y'all doing?
What's your name, man?
What am I doing?
Good to see you. Nice.
I love how he's like doing all of a sudden he's not the.
No, it's not good to see you.
No, hey man, how you doing? How you doing, man? Like he's gangsta. He's gangsta. How you doing, man? Hey, good to meet you, man. How you doing, man?
Good to meet you.
Hey man, how you doing?
Timothy
Jordan.
Timothy.
It's a pleasure.
Good to see you.
Tyrone Rams.
Tyrone. Good to see you, man.
Thanks.
Good to see you, man.
Arnell Stewart.
Arnell.
All right, man.
So nice to see you.
All right, man.
Jesus Chavez.
Jesus. Good to see you.
Here it comes.
David Shaw.
David. Very nice to meet you. Everybody have a seat. Well, gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to meet with me. I know this is the first time this ever happened.
Thank you for taking the time
to
meet with me.
What the hell else they got to do?
Oh, President, I'm so sorry. I've had to take time out from building IKEA furniture.
The meeting.
Thanks for taking the time to meet with me.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard him say.
I love it. I love it. The guy's great. Just filled with groovy stuff. All right.
Well, I wanted to get us a little more on an international track today, but we just apparently didn't work out.
What? Well, can we?
There's a lot of stuff going on. And
well,
we can get off of the Good Morning America thing and go.
Oh, it's my fault now.
Yes. Well, you're the one who mentioned
it's my fault.
Yeah, of course.
The one who I'm all over migration, I'm all over the Greek elections, and now it's my fault because I played a network clip.
Greek elections today.
Are you insane?
Well, maybe you did. Okay, I just got a thing. I want to get this out of the way. I got two. I don't want to do both. I got one that's China. That's important, although we just did it, China.
Yeah, because we don't do any international stuff.
And then I have the head of the Eurasia Foundation making some commentary about the British elections, that new Labour guy, and what this means for them and the EU. I thought was very insightful.
Well, what do you want me to do?
Pick one.
Well, you got to tell me what the clip is.
Oh, the clip is Head of Eurasia Foundation on UK leaving the EU, and the other one is KRA. K-R-A.
Well, since we just did China, since we're not doing anything international, I didn't do anything about Germany, didn't do anything about Hungary, didn't do anything international.
No.
My God, the austerity that's being asked of them, demanded of them, is not easy. And there's still, as we look at over the next couple of years, there's still a decent chance of a Greek exit. The thing that worries me most about Europe, which we haven't talked about, is not Greece, and it's not directly the refugee issue. It's actually Britain.
So what do you think of the new Labour leader?
Oh, well, I'm not worried about him because he's irrelevant. He can't win. But what worries me is the fact that Labour has made itself politically irrelevant means that the Conservative Party in Britain here, because Jeremy Corbyn has won, this Labour leader, hard left Labour leader, has got 60% of the Labour vote. It means suddenly David Cameron's Conservative Party has nothing to worry about. And that means that all of the Eurosceptic backbenchers among the Tories suddenly don't have to align themselves with Cameron. They can say whatever they want. This referendum on Britain staying in the EU has just become much harder. And it's also become harder because Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, is forcing this leadership role with accepting all of these refugees that's very unpopular in Germany. So Cameron's going to have a harder time getting his folks on side. Merkel's going to have a harder time getting her folks on side. And suddenly the possibility that the Brits leave the EU is actually more real. That's what worries me the most.
So what's the most important topic of discussion other than the Pope at the United Nations?
Now, I left that last thing in there because what is Rose doing? This guy had an interesting premise that Rose should have followed up on, like asking maybe, well, what does that mean if they leave the EU? What's that going to do?
I know exactly what happened to him. His Apple Watch taptic feedback started tapping on his wrist. And that's
he didn't stand up, though. Maybe he did off camera.
Oh, it's time to stand up. I don't know what to do. Bye. I forgot my train of thought.
I just thought that was interesting because it was just the topic we've stopped discussing is something maybe we should get back on board with, because I think the guy had a good analysis. That these guys can now, all these conservatives, Tories and conservatives can just say whatever they want because who cares?
Well, I'm pretty sure that this is exactly what we concluded when we first talked about it. We did talk about it. They bring in the guy who's totally not a winner, and that just ensures the conservatives will win again. Now, how he was brought in, that's the story that needs investigation.
Probably the same way Jeb Bush was brought in.
Can I play something Syria quickly, or is that not international?
No, go play Syria and you can quit grousing.
You accused me of something.
I did, and what bothers me is this following. I'll say it again. You create your own scenario and then debunk yourself. I found that incredibly annoying. I'm not going to create things to debunk myself. Anyway, go on. Play Syria. Play us out.
This is General Petraeus, who is talking about Syria, and he has some great memes, and I thought it was a nice little spiel as he was talking to... Yes? Yes?
I noticed this too. This is very suspicious to me. All of a sudden, Petraeus is all over the news again?
With a nuclear-themed speech. A nuclear-themed speech to Congress, which was written. It has a writer's. Some writers going, ha 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 ha. See how I did that?
Let me now turn to the situation in Syria. Syria today, Mr. Chairman, is a geopolitical Chernobyl.
Nice.
Spewing instability and extremism over the region and the rest of the world. Like a nuclear disaster, the fallout from the meltdown of Syria threatens to be with us for decades.
See, there's a writer going, ha, 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 see?
Yeah, meltdown,
yes.
One?
Yeah,
And the longer it is permitted to continue, the more severe the damage will be. It is frequently said that there is no military solution to Syria or the other conflicts roiling the Middle East. This may be true, but it is also misleading. For in every case, if there is to be any hope of a political settlement, a certain military and security context is required, and that context will not materialize on its own. We and our partners need to facilitate it, and over the past 4 years, we have not done so.
Yeah, so that to me sounds like time for war. That, he was talking to McCain pretty much. McCain invited him into that, and it's just getting ready for war with the whole nuclear theme. Egregious.
Yeah, he's had at least three references as metaphors.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the point of him being there?
Yeah, well, because he had his uniform on, he looks all official and stuff, and he's a trusted leader of the military. I can't see any other.
Did he have his uniform on?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I forgot about that part.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's ridiculous. He was drummed out.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, they don't know what to do about this Russian thing where all the Russians are just piling. They're just loading up, bringing everybody. They're going to put an end to this.
Oh, yeah. Well, within some time frame, as Kerry would say.
It might be faster than they think.
I'm feeling a little woozy from the carbon monoxide wafting from the car into the...
No, you don't sound woozy.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's the Chiba Chews. Chiba Chews. They make me deconstruct myself.
What is Chiba Chews?
It's edible marijuana. Chiba Chews.
Oh, right. You said
ChibaChews.com.
In Holland, they have what do you call suckers?
Yeah, lollipops. Yeah, they got them in Colorado too.
Okay. Do they do anything?
It functions. Yeah, it works. But I'll have a full report on the Chiba Chews on Sunday show, which will be coming to you from Salt Lake City.
Apparently.
Salt Lake City, Utah. It's all right.
Cell Block 10.
It's all right. I'll make time for you. I'll make time for you, Mr. President. No problem. From jail. All right. Coming to you from the center of where the elites partay, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where we have the mudflats actually have water on them. That's how they become mud, by the way. The water goes away and it would mud. I'm John C. Dvorak.
We'll be back on Sunday with more from the Airstream of Consciousness right here on No Agenda.
I was not thinking a lot.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
I didn't really stop and think.
I ain't no psychiatrist, I ain't no doctor with degrees.
I was not thinking.
It don't take too much IQ to see what you're doing to me.
I don't think so. I don't think so. At the end of the day, I didn't really stop and think. I was not thinking a lot.
Oh, shut up, woman.
You better think.
Today, I want to talk about me and pork. I get a kick out of getting my dick out. So let no one doubt it's going in a pig's mouth. As I said, I'm going to get me some head from a pig who's dead. This is big. I'm going to stick my dick in a pig. Getting piggy with it. Getting piggy with it. Getting piggy with it. Getting piggy with it.
Yeah, dude, that sounds sciencey enough to be true.
Yeah.
No.
Get out of my vagina.
It's real.
Vagina.
It's real.
Vagina.
It's real.
Vagina.
The best podcast in the universe.
Adios, mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA